Now we wait and see everybody come in.
Oh no, it's gonna fucking snow again. God damn it.
Isn't it always snowing in Montana though?
Yes, but I still like to bitch about it. Yeah. I bitch about it way too much because I fucking hate snow. It's not that I hate snow, I'm sick of it. I'm just over it. It's like still snowy outside. I mean, finally the roads are clear, but it's like snowbanks and shit that are still up.
Do people even know how to drive in snow in Montana? Because
No, they don't.
Oh, that's right, because they're mostly Californians, right?
Yeah, we've been taken over. Like, we've been invaded by a foreign species. Yeah.
That makes sense because we had like snow here in California. What is it? In Southern California, not mostly northern, and there were a whole bunch of car crashes and shit. Like it was bad. It was not good. So that didn't go exactly as they planned here, but it happens.
Yeah, dude. Like in like the South, they have to shut down the entire fucking state so that way they can't. Because like these fuckers can't drive in snow. They don't know that you got to go a little bit slow. You got to slow down a little bit on the road. You got to pump on the brake a little bit and not like stop right away. So you go sliding into the person in front of you on the road, like because you're a bad driver.
Yeah, it's not great. It happens.
And you also need to get snow tires. That's the thing.
Yeah,
there's like a whole category of tires that you can buy called snow tires. But, this is a completely foreign concept to a lot of Californians because they've never been to Montana until they just moved here after the false advertising of how nice it is in the summer for like 1 month out of the year. And then it just snows the rest of the time. And then they're like, wait a minute. This wasn't in the fucking flyers.
Well,
and then they literally like some of them will like they don't know it snows. Like I'm not kidding you. And they like fucking move away. They move back to California or they move somewhere else because they just had no idea.
That's horrible. It's like that here in California, specifically, where like we're up in the mountains, and they just go like with a crawl down up the mountains and shit. I'm like,
yeah.
Are you guys for real? You guys can't. We call them flatlanders because they don't know how to drive in the mountains. It's just
they don't, and there's a specific way too. And I'm an asshole too. Like if I see someone like being a fucking idiot, like I followed someone into a gas station one time to tell them to fucking learn how to drive better because it's like a lot of these roads you have to pass down are like two-way roads or like one-way/two-way like one direction traffic, and it's like they've caused a lot of wrecks in these recent years. There's a lot more crosses on the side of the roads because these people don't know how to fucking drive.
Yeah. Well, you combine snow with mountains, and you have two people that don't know how to drive. And
you got all this windy shit you can't see around the corner on this turn, and it's like you're trying to do like a U-turn, like in the middle of the fucking canyon where people can't see you when they turn the corner, and they're going 70 miles an hour almost. They're going to either have to do this. They're going to slam into you and fucking kill your ass, or they're going to have to go off the side of the road. And I say this because this is literally a situation I got placed into like a couple years ago. I think it was in 2019 or some shit like that during COVID when there was like a lot of these Californians getting away from the city and shit. And it was ridiculous. I don't know. I literally fucking wrecked my car trying not to fucking kill some people on the road because they were being bad drivers.
Yeah, it's bloody awful. Yeah, Sacramento is also bad. When Tyler actually came down to visit here, we almost got into like 2 or 3 wrecks, or at least witnessed 2 or 3 wrecks. Even when we were coming back down to go do the racing thing, and then K1 racing, and we're only like 2-3 minutes away from my house, and we see a car almost swerve out of another car's lane into the wrong lane, and then back into the correct lane again because it almost got T-boned. And then it happened like.
Oh, I didn't know Tyler came and visited you, bro. That's fucking
cool. It was cool. It was cool. I got to see him. But yeah, I was just like, see, this is what you expect when you come into California. It was not good, like a good showing of California either, because he just gets here and then he witnesses like 2 or 3 wrecks in the span of like less than 8 hours, and I'm like, okay.
Texas, dude. When I was in Texas for a little bit, I was working down there. I was helping out my aunt. Dude, it's like wrecks every fucking day on the side of the road. Just because there's like the more people you have in a concentrated area, statistically speaking, the more wrecks per day.
Yeah.
It's math. It's nothing really that complex.
yeah, it's pretty bloody awful. I mean,
Yeah, because people are like so fucking ignorant of the road, or they're just like they're drinking and driving, or they're just being dumb.
Yeah, Sacramento was what do you call it? Sacramento was not not as bad as like the Bay Area. Like Sacramento's actually better than the Bay Area. So what you're witnessing here is just worse than the Bay Area. And I'm just
I can imagine like living in like LA. Actually, my friends are in LA right now. They're at a Fish concert, but LA is just like I hear like if you get on the wrong road and the wrong time of the day, like you're stuck in traffic for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's like a whole event for your whole day.
It's like that for Sacramento too. Like the periods of between like 3. So it varies obviously, but it normally starts around 3:30 all the way to like 6 or 7, give or take, where there's just a lot of traffic. So you have to try to leave before then to avoid at least the first wave of traffic, and then try to survive the still oncoming way of traffic when you're coming back. So that's the reason why I try to avoid going pretty much anywhere between those periods of time, because you're just stuck in traffic constantly.
Yeah.
It's not fun. And it's
not a lot of fun. I'm not a big fan of traffic. I actually like get so mad in traffic. Like I don't. You haven't driven with me before, but like I get really mad. I've said some things I can't repeat on the internet. That in traffic, just screaming out my window. Come on, you fucking moron! Get the fuck out of like that kind of shit. Like I've gotten into some fights like at stoplights too. Like I'm not ashamed to admit. Because I've actually like would love it if Montana would have better options that were not just driving in your car, because there's no like public transportation here. Like you can't bicycle everywhere because there's fucking snow on the ground year round, and like everything's too far apart for you to bicycle. So like you get like stuck, like just either walking or driving your fucking car, and it's like a hazard to do both because people will fucking hit you on the side of the road.
Yeah, it's similar to like. It's like that in California too, but only in the cities. If you are going anywhere out in rural, forget it, man. Like you have to travel a good ways to even remotely get to places, and that's the reason why the city folk just don't understand. It's like you lived in a very privileged and great area because like you're only able to you can bicycle or walk certain distances within like 5-10 minutes and get to where you want.
It's
whereas
like
rural,
the whole city isn't actually as large as you think. It's like it's just really condensed and stacked, and everyone's stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Like in the rural areas, it's like the same amount of land, just about, but it's just all spread out. It's like instead of like 20 businesses right on top of each other, it's like 3 businesses like with sharing yards.
Yeah. When I lived on a farm, it's like 10 minutes or so, give or take, to drive to the city, right? Because we're way out there, and if you go by bike, it's not the greatest. It's not the most fun, and not only that, you have to avoid like coyotes and other shit that probably wants to murder you.
Dude, I almost hit an elk like yesterday. Like that's another thing too. Like on the road, they got all these fucking animals and shit you got to look out for.
Yeah, so it's just like you guys don't understand the ramifications of wanting to.
Did you see that video that went viral recently of the fuckers messing with the moose?
No.
Set up a bar.
No.
That was here in my town. I was there, and it went viral. It has like hundreds of millions of views on fucking YouTube right now. Hold on.
There's no way.
Let me find this.
Why would they mess with a moose? Do they not know it's like
because they were dumb and drunk, and everyone was yelling at them and telling them to fucking not do it. But
so we're a 1-ton animal, like what?
Here, I don't know if I can find this video. Moose 1 10. There we go. Here it is. It made the New York Post. It's all over the fucking internet right now, but this is actually, my friend owns the rights to this video, and he's been selling it to like these big media companies in order to like get money and capitalize off these fucking retards.
As he should. As he
Which is fucking great because now he has like he's like selling T-shirts and shit too. It's actually fucking hilarious. He's made like a couple grand off of this one video already, and like it's secretly a blessing, but it's also really sad because now this moose moose are very territorial creatures, by the way.
Yeah, they are.
So now he wasn't before afraid of humans because no one was fucking with them, but now you got these tourists, the city fucking tourists, these fucking assholes. It obviously looks like they're from fucking Jersey and shit.
Yeah.
But they came into town and then they started fucking with the wildlife. Now the wildlife's gonna be pissed because these moose are gonna hold grudges now to humans. And then eventually it's gonna fucking kill somebody. It's already killed some dogs recently because of this. And like now it's gonna kill some fucking people, and then the wildlife services are gonna have to come down and actually put down the fucking moose. And then now there's an animal that's gonna be dead for no fucking reason because these assholes won't mind their own goddamn business.
I know, right?
And you get this a lot where these people come into my goddamn state, into my town, and then they start acting like dickheads because they don't respect wildlife. They don't respect, the locals. They just think that they can act however the fuck they want because that's what they did in fucking New Jersey or in California or in fucking Texas. They don't understand this shit. And it pisses me off. And I get like really frustrated about it. Like, because it's just a complete de-evolution of like the humble town that I'm from. Because it's just growing exponentially because there's this max exodus from the city of all these people that are coming in. They're bringing in all their fucking stupid fucking ideas and their shitty ways of life. Like they don't have like the same level of respect that people did for their neighbors as these people did.
Yeah, and that's just that's completely annoying. The mere fact that it really just does that is annoyance in itself.
Yeah. And it makes me mad, and it makes a lot of people mad. And it's not even like a Republican and Democratic issue. It's just like, it's just the nature of people from the city. They don't, like, I think it's just because of where they're from. They just don't understand how people behave in rural areas, I guess. They don't understand that level of respect. Because you have to have a certain level of moxie. You have to have a certain level of abrasiveness, I guess, is the right way to put it, where you're not going to be as respectful.
Yeah.
Because of where you're from. Because, you're dealing with people on a daily basis. You're like, get the fuck out of my way. I have somewhere to be right now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to hold the fucking door for you. I'm not going to, say I'm sorry when I accidentally bump into you. Like, people are on a mission in the city. They have shit to do. They have places to be. And it's not like that in rural areas. Like, people are just, like, driving around, like, looking around, like,
yeah.
Look,
well,
it's loud.
It's the same thing with Corey over here, too. Like, where he's all like, is a bear really that dangerous? It's like, yeah, a bear is really that dangerous. Like,
they will maul the fuck out. I know a guy who got his face ripped off recently. Like, not recently. This is actually, like, a couple years ago. But the owner of the fucking hardware store, his dad was biking, and the fucking bear just fucking ripped him off his bike and then tore his face off. Shit.
It's just like it's like what I tell him. It's like you just don't fuck with wildlife. Like I don't understand. Like,
well, he wasn't even fucking with it. He was just in his territory.
Oh yeah,
it's
like that too. It's like you have to know. And of course, like one mini story that I had is like we saw a mountain lion run right past our car. Or so the Minis family is a bunch of retards, all right? Okay, so
I believe it.
It's just a thing. So we're like, oh, cool, mountain lion. So we all get out of our car and start running towards where the mountain lion
is. The fuck?
It's like because we're so interested in the mountain lion. I'm like, and I.
Well, yeah, you can watch this video. Look, like that's what they did, dude. They literally just fucking they're like, oh, like a moose. Let's go poke it with a stick. But they didn't use a stick. They used their hands, and then the moose tried to attack them. You saw it you can see it in the video.
It's just like it's because I think the way my family we weren't gonna like mess with it, but we wanted to look at it because when you see a mountain lion, it's actually incredibly rare. You don't often see mountain lions just in the wild. We saw maybe I saw maybe like 2, possibly 3 in my life.
They don't want to be seen. They're fucking sneaky. Yeah, that's really what it comes down to. If you see one, I wouldn't fuck with it.
Yeah, no, like running after a mountain lion is like a low IQ idea. Like don't run after a mountain lion like we did. Listen, folks, the people that are watching, don't run after a mountain lion. You're bound to face. You're bound to possibly die because they don't know whether they're going to be harmed or not. So they will take defensive measures. Most of the time, they'll probably run away. But I mean, don't take the chances. All right, it's not a good idea.
No, dude, don't fuck with bears or wolves and shit in Montana. You fucking morons. You will do it. You will do it. people like I like how people are laughing at this video, like all these fucking idiots. Oh, no, dude, I see this shit happen all the time. Like the shit in that video with the moose. They're doing it to like bighorn sheep and shit, and then they're like doing it to bears. How dumb are you that you go to a grizzly bear and you're like, oh, I want to go pet it?
It's what I call.
Do you enjoy having fingers? Do you like being like? Do you like having functionality in your hands? Do you like having your face attached to your body? Let me remind you, my friend is or not my friend. He's not really my friend. He's just a guy in the town. But like his dad has lived here for 40 years. Never had to fuck with an animal. One time he goes into grizzly territory, gets his fucking face ripped off, dude. And he was minding his own business. Don't think for a second that if you walk up to a fucking bear, they won't attack back. They will fucking rip your goddamn face off.
Yeah,
break your arm.
By the way, you will not be able to run away. They run 30 miles per hour. You will not be able to.
There is no getting away. You can't go up a tree like people think. No, those motherfuckers can climb so fast.
Yeah, like, there's just no way. Like they're messed up. Back in the day, folks, like probably people that watch this already know because they're not that stupid. But back in the day, it's like grizzly bears or bears in general were like a huge like trophy animal, whatever, like a big prize because when you shot them with your gun, it did nothing to them. And even so to this day, some of the shotguns and guns that we have still do nothing.
Oh, you would never use a shotgun on a grizzly bear.
And
no, you would want to. You could use a 10 millimeter. Like you could use that. You could use a 5.56 round. You would probably want a larger round than 5.56, but
definitely. But
because you could still shoot it and kill it, and it's still going to charge at you. Because bears, even after they're dead, won't stop. They're relentless.
Yeah.
I don't know what the science is behind that, but there's some explanation on the internet somewhere of why bears are so relentless, even after being severely injured by bullets.
Yeah.
And your pepper spray really ain't shit, just FYI.
No.
Like,
that just make it mad.
I will tell you this: they will go right through your fucking pepper spray. It'll get in their face and it'll like get in their nose and shit. And they'll be all panicked, and they'll still be charging at your ass.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh, your fucking pepper spray is gonna save you." No, it's not.
No.
It's gonna piss it off, and if it's a younger animal, possibly like if it's like a mama bear, no, she's not gonna stop. But if it's like, maybe if it's a cub or something, or like I'd say like maybe a black bear, it might be better in, but like a grizzly bear, dude, if you see a grizzly bear, especially if it's a mama, like it's not stopping at your fucking, at your silly fucking pepper spray.
Yeah. Most of the time, if there are cubs around, the mama bear is usually around. So that's normally a sign of get the hell out because they're very territorial, especially when their cubs are around. So they will attack. Like they don't walk around. So
just make sure, like, if you ever see a fucking cub, immediately look around. Make sure you are never in between the fucking bear and its mama, because otherwise, just go ahead and call your loved ones right there.
Yeah.
Just like make the call right there. Be like, just as quick as you can. Whip your phone up. Be like, I love you. This is it. This is the end.
Yep. And if you think you're safe in your car, think again because they can easily topple a car.
They'll rip your fucking door off.
Yeah.
They do that.
Yeah. It's just like. I love bears because I think they're really cool in the sense of how much power that they have. But I also know I'm not much of an idiot to mess with the bear. Like
and it's like they're not like hunting humans.
Yeah,
it's not like that's what they're doing. What it is like there's a lot of sprawl that's happening, especially in Montana. Like sprawl that's happening up, and it's like pushing out into bear territory. Mm-hmm. So it's like there's these territorial animals that have been here for X amount of years. And then now we have all this development because of all these people moving here, and it's sprawling out into their home. So and the bears aren't going to leave. They're just going to be like, there's other areas for food. There's this cute little dog over here that we can eat. There's this trash can that has all this fucking crap in it. Like, that's what's happening. And it's just all the sprawl, and like people aren't really considerate of the environment.
Yeah, well,
and I know that's a very democratic view, but it's literally the fucking Democrats that are fucking the ones doing that shit. They're the ones who are building out all this fucking land and whatnot. And they're like, oh, we're so progressive. We care about the environment. We care about climate change. Yet they're the ones who keep causing all this fucking excessive sprawl that goes out and develops this like very like delicate land with very delicate ecosystems.
Yeah, and when you do that, especially in very rural areas like Montana, you end up encroaching on other wildlife's territory, which Also,
Yep.
by the way, people affects their habitat and the nature of things. So things are gonna go out of whack when you do shit like this, and they're
Yeah.
gonna come into your place. They don't know any better. It was their territory.
They rely on their instincts. We're supposed to rely on our fucking intelligence, but that doesn't seem to happen very often.
Yeah, that seems to be going out the window. I mean, look at all these liberal cities to where they're literally becoming third world countries. I think I saw Seattle. What was it, like a day, like a video? Yeah, yeah.
Well, hey, they still got Netflix. They get all those government stimulus checks, and they get their Netflix, they get their heroin.
It is what it is, man. Like Seattle, I
Yeah.
looked at that video and I'm like, there's no way. It literally looks like a third world country. Like, no joke. Completely
Yeah.
destroyed, gone. And I'm like, there's no way. That is Seattle? This is America? That's
I haven't seen these images, to be honest, because I really don't give a fuck about those. I hope they burn. I hope they burn. And
Well, no, it's like I said a thousand times on this channel, and people know.
yeah,
They get what they vote for. They're all idiots. And people will go out and like it'd be like in LA. Well,
that's what's crazy to me. Like they vote for that shit, they cause these problems, and then they come here to my city, to my state, and they vote for the same shit.
Yeah,
And it's not even like the fact that they vote Democrat. They're like, it's these politicians that are also coming here. Like the person who almost won the election here in Montana was a fucking San Francisco governor.
Yeah,
It wasn't even a Montanan. Like, and it's like you get these people that are still proposing the same ideas, the same policies within government that fucked up their cities. They're like, oh, we should try this. This worked really well in San Francisco. No, it did not.
really didn't. It destroyed it.
And why are you here? Why are you here? Why did you have to come here?
It's like I said, you guys, it's like the people that vote there, they get what they deserve, and they destroy their city, and they should just honestly bloody stay there because
They don't have to even stay there. They just have to like acknowledge what they did wrong. Like it's okay to grow from that shit, and then come here, and then start like a nice happy life after they already fucked up their city, and then vote for the things that are right, not the ones that already fucked up your city. Don't fuck up another city. It's like a fucking like parasite that just goes from organ to organ, and it just spreads its fucking seed.
yeah, and there's a reason why there is a max exodus in California right now. I haven't watched the actual full documentary of it yet, to where there's a full reason why people are leaving California, but there's multiple reasons. We know why, because there's the immense amount of crime, the homelessness, the taxes, the having to you would never be able to probably purchase a home as a young person ever in California because the prices are too high, and it's going to get worse. Now, other than that, there will be elimination of I may believe Gavin Newsom wants to eliminate handguns by 2024 or something, or 2025, which that's not going to help anything. So more break-ins are going to happen.
When Hitler took over, the first thing he did was he banned guns.
Yeah. Yep.
Dude, the Democrats are unironically becoming the fucking Nazis, man. Like they're like a twisted version of the Nazi Party. They're like if the Nazi Party was like full of like transgenders and homosexuals.
Yeah, it's literally insane. Well, like I said, people saw the video before, but like the video, which will most likely segue into what we'll be talking about anyways, is that that Minnesota is looking to pretty much eradicate the protection of remove the pedophiles from the safe category. So therefore, pedophiles will have access to children. Like it won't be a problem to go after.
Okay, so they're making it so, like, when you get your conviction, and you get so the court gives you like certain restrictions of what you can and cannot do after you've been convicted of whatever crime. It's even in misdemeanors they do that for. So what you're trying to say is that they're doing this for the pedophiles where that particular restriction where they're not allowed to go into like school zones and be around children. That's going to be lifted, so they can actually have access to children now.
Yeah. So actually, I could show you this because this is a perfectly good segue into what we're going to end up talking about. So if we if we go to, let's see here, can I share this actually? Because I'm pretty sure I can. Hold on. So if I went to go and share, I have to do it this way because otherwise it's going to be not like that. So what you would see here is, if you can see this, I'll blow this up. So
What the fuck is that monster?
well, we'll actually get to that. So this is what we call here. This is what we have. This is from the set of soaps. Minnesota House Bill HF 1655 will eliminate the exclusion of pedophiles from the protected class of sexual orientation, meaning Minnesota civil rights law will soon protect pedophiles from discrimination.
Oh, is that her or him? Whatever the fuck that thing is.
Yes, this is the sponsor of that said bill. This is the sponsor of it.
Oh my god.
And then
okay, so it might be proposed, but I almost doubt that this will actually go through. I feel like there's still enough rational. Okay, I choose to believe that there's still enough rational people in the world where something like this won't happen.
Yeah, I think so, but I don't think it's up to the people though, because from what I looked at the actual.
Oh, hold on. This is okay. Hold on. This is a little different. This doesn't like. Does this? Where does it say it pertains to children?
Okay, it said. Well, here it goes. It says. Well, here, gender identity. Gender identity means a person's inherent sense of being a man, woman, both, or neither. A person's identity may or may not correspond to their assigned sex at birth or to their primary or secondary sex characteristics. A person's gender identity is not necessarily visible to others. It continues to say that sexual orientation means having or being perceived as having an emotional, physical, or sexual attachment to another person without regard to the sex of that person, or having being perceived as having an orientation for such attachment. Now, here's the kicker right here, one that's crossed out. Or having or being perceived as having a self-image or identity not traditionally associated with one's biological maleness or femaleness. Sexual orientation does not include a physical or sexual attachment to children by an adult.
Huh.
So, like, you don't have to be physical or have a sexual attachment to children. So therefore you can...
Dude, this whole, like, gender identity shit is, like, the whole fucking problem. It's not even just, like, the sex change shit. It's, like, this concept that gender is this other thing that is not biological.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess that is kind of, like, a way to segue into what we were, talking about earlier. Like, the whole topic of this whole podcast is because... that was a little bit of the whole conversation that I had with my teachers in school, with this like play that I did when I was younger, where we were trying to break down the gender norms, as they say, and propose the whole idea that gender is just a fucking like made up thing that you can like say whatever the fuck it is. You can like say you're a goddamn gingerbread man, and like that's factual, apparently, according to them.
And that's what we have like with the insanity here, right? Because we were talking about this before, to where we keep on saying they're coming after our kids. This is not a lie. Yeah. This is not a fallacy. This is happening, and this is what they're doing. I mean, they try now. They're not even hiding it anymore at this point.
Well, yeah, because they don't have to hide it. Because when they first initially like started all this shit, like back when I was in school, it was all just a proposition, and it was like so it seemed so ridiculous that like I would go home and I'd tell my parents like what they were teaching me in school and like what they were teaching me like during like this production that I did, and then they were like, my parents thought I was lying to them. They thought I was just full of shit. They thought I was just like making shit up, and I just wanted to get out of doing this this production I was in. They thought I was just trying to get out of it, and then they saw the play. And then my dad pulled me aside afterwards, and he's like, "Son, I'm really sorry. I had no idea. Like, I thought you were just fucking with me. I thought you were just making shit up. Like, you were just trying to get out of like going to this program or whatever." Yeah. And in this program, so I guess how should we start this? Okay, so when I was in 2016, when I was in school, we were doing a production of Twelfth Night by Shakespeare. And within that play, there is a lot of like, people like cross-dressing, and as there is in Shakespeare quite often.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of cross-dressing and from the characters because of like the context of the story. And we had a very liberal director who was very into social politics, let's say. and she proposed this. Well, it was kind of like her, and it was like also some of the kids too, because like it was just being like projected within the play that we were going to essentially rewrite the entire story, which we did. I have this. I sent you the script that you can also link to people. We rewrote the entire story to be consistent with gender politics. So, let's start with this. In the 12th night, the protagonist, which is Viola, I think was her name. It was like Viola.
You can even show.
Yeah, Viola. Yep, I was just making sure I pronounced that right. Viola. She crashed. Her and her brother were traveling from another country, and they were supposed to be they were supposed to be going somewhere else, but they ended up crashing in this foreign land, which is where Orsino is the duke and Olivia is the queen. And within this play, Viola had to get close to the king, and she had to dress up as a man in order to become his squire, which
Yeah.
it makes sense because back in those days, like squires were men. Okay, so now this is kind of interesting because to them, that's not what they heard. What they heard was, oh, she's transgender. Let's rewrite the script so she's transgender, and also let's rewrite all the other characters so they're transgender too. And then before we fully rewrote the script, we spent like a whole month doing re-education camp of like gender politics and like talking about how gender is on this spectrum and whatnot, and like how it's only a concept. You can be whatever you want to be. And it's kind of funny because throughout that entire month when we were doing the re-education camp of this whole gender identity and gender spectrum idea, there were kids who were transitioning in my class because of it. Like they were so influenced by that they actually, like, some of them actually ended up becoming the opposite gender, or they became gay, or because of it, because they were very influenced by what was happening in the school. Because these kids were like, probably like it's theater kids, so they're very outcasted. They're not like, they don't fit in with most people, so they're trying to like feel included to the idea of this production and like all the things that we were talking about, because they were getting all this positive reinforcement from the director and from their peers by virtue signaling to each other. Therefore, they started changing their fucking identities to fit in with that whole idea. Because kids are very impressionable and very influenced by these ideas. And it was really crazy the entire time, because at this time I had no knowledge of politics. I didn't follow any political channels. I didn't talk to anybody who was political. My parents weren't even political. Like, I mean, they had their beliefs, but like they didn't ever talk to me and my sister about it when I was younger. Like they wanted to keep us out of the whole fucking political shit, because it's like, fucking kids, like, you shouldn't be talking to your kids about fucking politics. And then this just was like thrown into my fucking plate, and the entire time I'm like scratching my head like, how does this make any fucking sense? Like, it's like there's no logic or fact behind any of these proposed ideas. There's no there's nothing. They didn't talk about anything that was like anything that seemed like it would make sense biologically. Like, they had no science behind any of their beliefs other than, this is how I feel. Well, sometimes I feel like I should be fucking rich, but that's not what I am. Like, I can't just identify as something and say that's what I am, because I'm fucking confused in life, or because I'm like, because I'm like unhappy with my current being. You have to, like, what you feel is not what you are. What if I like said I felt like a fucking like what if I said like I felt like, let's a good example. This is really hard for me to even like develop any sort of like logic behind, because it's just such an illogical topic.
It's illogical.
But like, I'm trying to like propose like an alternative like way of looking at it, so we take the whole gender politics out of it and break it down to its actual algorithm of how they fucking think. But I can't even do that really. It's actually kind of very difficult right now. I should have thought about this beforehand, but it's just they created false comparisons with the story, and then they created these delusions in their fucking head, and then it just kept getting reinforced by adults around them, and that was just kind of like the whole idea behind it. And because of this, there was a lot of issues that would follow me into my day-to-day at school and my day-to-day at life, because I was always pushing against it. You know, I was always telling them, like, there's no, like, you can't, like, you'd have to explain to, I would get them to, like, I was actually, like, asking them, can you explain to me your thought process of, like, why you think it's like this? And then they would just look at me like I'm fucking, like, ignorant, and they'd be like, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, there's no, I just kind of want to understand where you're coming from with how these people, like, let's say within the story, like, because we weren't just talking about the fucking play the entire time. We had to go through fucking re-education camp. And I was, like, trying to understand, like, the mindset and, like what the logic was, because it made no sense. It made no sense to me, because I'm also, like, a skeptic, so I was, like, very skeptical of it. Because all of a sudden, like, you know, I learned my entire life that there's two genders, or there's two sexes. There's male and female, and then as a male, like, you know, male has his shape of chromosomes, female has their shape of chromosomes. And all of a sudden, you're telling me that, and these are teachers. These teachers are telling me that gender is whatever the fuck you believe it is. And we can pull up some of the photos that. Let's see if we can pull up the photo of the gender unicorn and shit like that. Do we have that photo, Jerome?
I think we do. Well,
it's scrolled up. You can scroll up in our previous conversations.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. As for the kids in particular here, were the kids would the kids have, like, either autistic, somewhere on the spectrum, or maybe had a bad home life or upkeeping?
Yes. Some of them did. A lot of them came from families where their parents were very absent, because some of these kids that I was in the production with were, you know, of lower income. So their parents had to work all the time, and meaning they weren't very present in their kids' lives, which is not the parents' fault. You know, they have to fucking work to, like, sustain their goddamn families. Like, you can't ever fault a parent for that. But because they were so absent, their kids were getting all this information from places that weren't being pushed from their parents. And I wonder, and I didn't really fully know their parents' perspective on everything, because I never really talked to them, but, like, I just knew that, like, there was a lot of parents who were very unhappy with what happened, and they actually pulled their kids out of school because of it. My parents did it because my parents had no idea. Well, they had an idea. I was telling them, but they thought I was full of shit, because they thought there was no way that they would be teaching this shit in school. They thought I was just being, like, fucking, I was just lying. I was just trying to get out of going, and I was just trying to, like, not do all this stuff. But they didn't believe me. They didn't care. All right, well, anyways, this is, like, literally, like, the educational material that they fucking sent us. And it's, like, essentially the whole idea here is, like, they're trying to propose that gender is in your head. Like, they're trying to take the separation of sex and gender, and they're trying to create two different categories. Yeah, your sex at birth is this, but what you feel is what you are, which is fucking crazy. Like, it's just because you feel a certain way doesn't mean that that's what you are, you know? Yeah. And especially in children where they're fucking confused, like they hardly understand what's going on with their own bodies, and you're trying to tell them that, like, now, like, what, like, there's this whole spectrum. They can be whatever the fuck they want to believe. They can make their character sheet in D&D, and then that's what they are. Like, that's like what they're trying to say. And, you know, I pushed against that, and I became the ignorant white guy in the play when we rewrote it. Which is kind of funny. Like, if you read the script, they changed. So Orsino and Viola were supposed to get together in the Shakespeare version, because, you know, he was falling in love with her because she was very womanlike and very like, you know, she was a woman, you know, and he was falling in love with her, and he was very confused because he wasn't sure what she was, because she was, like, posing as a squire. Yeah. And he was very confused the entire time. But they needed, in the play, they needed a villain. So, because there was no really villain in the Shakespeare version. Like, it was, everyone was just like, you know, just kind of like doing all their like social politics. They were doing Game of Thrones and shit. Like, they were, that's kind of like what would happen in the original material. But in this one, I'm the ignorant white guy who has no idea what the fuck is happening, and they have to woman-splain it to me. They have to like explain to me why I'm so dumb and ignorant. And it's like, that was my fucking role in the play. Because the entire time I was pushing against what they were saying. So they found the perfect role for me, the ignorant white guy. And that's what I am. I'm an ignorant white guy. And I'd rather be an ignorant white guy than a fucking crazy lunatic who believes that they're a fucking attack helicopter.
Yeah, and for going back to essentially where you talk about where they had they're about upcoming or homecoming or on the spectrum or whatever.
Yeah.
There has been many articles and even statistics showing that a lot of this might be, I don't know if it was majority of girls that was affected by this. I'm pretty sure guys were, but majority of girls usually.
It was mostly women actually who were affected by the production. In fact, a lot of the men were like virtue signaling, or just because they just didn't want to be like thought of as ignorant. The guys who were in the play with us, and then there was guys who were just like really flamboyant and very gay.
Yes.
And they were like trying to be like inclusive because they're already gay, because they already knew they were gay, and that's whatever. But
yeah, the statistics and the articles, even many of them, where it shows that a lot of the kids that have, this was also by a woman that came up and it did was within this whole transgender thing, where she was specifically working with these kids that wanted to transition or wanted to do the surgery or what have you, whatever the case may be. And what she ended up finding out was either the kids were in a very bad home upcoming, bad parents or etc., or they were on the spectrum, either autistic or retarded or whatever it may be. And the majority of them happen to just be women that were affected this. And this is what I've been talking about with the whole social media thing too, and how bad it's actually affecting women. And what a lot of women actually don't seem to either understand about themselves, or either ignorant or playing fools to themselves, where
their behavior's being reinforced by like people in their lives that they look to for advice, or like that they quote unquote respect, like especially like these kids who, you know, they had very absent parents at home. Their parents were not accessible to them, or their parents were also fucking brainwashed lunatics.
Yeah,
but like they were being very influenced by the teachers at school. So the teachers were like people they looked up to because they were trying to be included, because, you know, maybe they didn't get enough love at home or something like that. So they were listening to their teachers because like the teachers are all like, "Oh, you want to transition? Wow, good for you. We support you. You are a hero." You like, they're just it's a form of manipulation where like these fucking teachers don't even know they're actually like manipulating them, because they're also like drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, and this is, and a lot of these, my point to where we're going was the women, if you look at the statistics for Instagram, a lot of them are having either body dysmorphia or psychological damage mostly with the younger girls. And this is usually due to women usually feed off of attention. This is just obvious. This is not...
Well, they see how all these girls on TikTok are getting attention for shaking their ass on camera. They're like, well, why doesn't anyone else like me like that? They feel like insecure. And who wouldn't? I would feel insecure too.
Yeah.
If I didn't get that level of attention and like, oh, am I not pretty enough? Like, do I have to change myself to be like that?
Yes.
Do I have to change my bot? Like, it's like, this can actually go back further than like social media too. Because I don't know if you notice, I don't know if you notice this, but like, I'm sure like there's older individuals who notice this, where when porn started taking soup in the nation, people like used to never like shave their private parts. Really, they'd trim them and like do maintenance, but they wouldn't like just shave themselves down. But then porn started doing it, so then they started doing it because they thought that's what they had to do in order to be attractive.
Yeah, and
so they're being very influenced by the shit that happens online, because they don't have anyone to tell them the actual, like, how to, like, you know, be like, what is it, like, we're not so self-conscious, I guess, and they don't understand that that's not what you're supposed to be. You're not supposed to be like, because that's just like a very like 1 percentile representation of the human body.
Yeah, and as I said, the women are very influential in this case, and
Yeah.
I don't really. Let me put it very simple, guys. I don't really blame the women, the kids specifically. The adult women, yes, I do blame
No,
them.
you can't blame
But
the
I,
fucking kids
but
ever
I,
because
but I,
they're the ones
yeah.
being influenced.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the kids are the ones that are being affected by this, by a great majority. And if the simps, if you really want to, go as far as to that, you could say that, like, well, the women are actually being truly affected by this. The kids, women. Yes, guys are too, but it's not as big as a majority. The women are because they get the attention, they build up what society is, and they have.
Well, I
to
wonder if
build
there's
up what
like a
society
stat where it's or more women are on social media looking at that stuff than men. I wonder if there's like some data that can represent that, and maybe that has to do with it because there's definitely men who are being influenced by it. Like
Yeah.
we see it with this fitness trend and this like alpha male shit that's happening on TikTok and on YouTube and all that crap.
Yeah.
Like people, like men are like, and like the idea is proposed that it's society's fault, but I think a lot of men are also being like they're feeling very insecure about their masculinity, maybe, and maybe it is part of society, but like it's just in a different end of the spectrum because the things that men feel about themselves is different than what women feel about themselves when they look at
I think
people on the internet.
I think well, this also goes down to what we would call with the mass shootings or school shootings and how it's just majority of white people. Now
Yeah.
we could also say that that the majority of white people there's more white people in the country, which it's true there is, which means that we'll have a higher chance of just being white people, but I think it comes down to multiple things here. I think the way we view men in today's society is honestly barbaric and horrible. And guys, and especially young kids, young men, have to go through society to where women are hating on them, society is hating on them, and then you put anything on the emphasis of being, what you would say, bullied on top of it. You get kids that feel very abused, feel very isolated, traumatized in this aspect. And what happens to be the white males, because obviously if you're white, a white male, you're an outcast. You're this racist or stuff like that. And this has eventually this does take a toll on the mental mind of a child, and they end up doing something horrendous. Which why we'd probably be perceiving that this is the issue with white men specifically going out and shooting people, because they're being it's almost 2 or 3 times worse.
Well, they're being driven out of normal society because normal society is attempting to tell them that they're pieces of shits because of the color of their skin, or because of their sex. And what they feel then is that, oh, I don't fucking like you if you don't like me. And a lot of times these people get pushed into, it creates hatred when you put the hatred onto them like that. Because what it does is it makes them into outcasts. And then they blame the people that are around them for making them an outcast. So then they join hate groups, or they join shit like they join like deep state groups or whatever, because they feel outcasted by society. And a lot of those people are also people who are felt outcasted by society because they're being told that they're awful because they're fucking white. So then you drive them away from the ability to have rational discussion with people who like are just trying to tell them maybe like to acknowledge the history, or like I don't know, like stuff like stuff like that. And then like they're trying to be like they're trying to put them into this category where they can't even be listened to. So then they just go to those groups and then they get too involved. And a lot of times those groups are very like kind of unhinged, and they become influenced to do bad shit.
Yeah. This is an attack on both men and women. And what we need to realize is that I think the higher ups, these people that run the world, obviously know that there is differences between men and women. And the reason why is that notice how the men are being attacked in a different way than women are. Women are being attacked due to their attention, that they need the attention and stuff like that. So they're getting attacked that way, whereas men are getting attacked in more of their
existence.
Their
like,
existence.
They're being attacked because they simply exist as men.
Yeah, men thrive on their existence of helping people, going to provide things for others, having a meaning in life, and their and then society is trying to remove their actual meaning in life.
Well, see, the reason for that is because they're trying to create a destabilization within like the normal function of like people's roles in nature. Like, you know, in nature or like in society, like, because, you know, this is how societies have functioned in the past, where the men are the providers. They create families and they provide, while the women, the main idea of what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to, like, you know, raise the families, and they're supposed to like have that specific role, which is like, you know, a lot of women don't like that, and that's okay. But like, they're trying to create that disruption so that way, like, now there's everyone like turning against each other because they don't want their way of life to be interrupted. And now that there's this division, now the people in the higher ups of the government can like pick a side of which one they want to like manipulate for fucking votes.
Yep.
And
yep.
yeah, that's kind of like what Andrew Tate and shit has talked about, but like he says it in a really crass way that just comes off really sexist, which is like not how you fucking convince people of anything. You can't talk like him and expect people to like convert. Like,
and this is just the way the higher ups, these oligarchs, the people that run the world, want it to be. I mean,
anytime that you can create division between the people, you can create a side in which you can manipulate and get them to vote for you because you scare them that the other side is going to cause problems for their way of life. Whether it's the side that people think that the typical gender family. How the fuck can I phrase this? The typical family, like the nuclear family that was like very proposed in the 1900s versus like the 2020 style of family where it's like the two dads and the two moms.
Yeah, and it's like, well, right now it's just mostly single motherhood, which is destroying families entirely.
Yeah.
You might not know this, but Steven Crowder just got recently divorced. And,
really?
Yep. And she's taking half of his stuff. It's what
as they do.
It's what every guy that was either from the red pill or what have you. I don't care what you people want to call it. We've been saying this a long time and many times over that this is what the women will do, and that marriage is just not sustainable for any man whatsoever. If you have women instigate 80% of divorces, and then if they get a career or a career or whatever you want to call it, a degree, it's up to 90%. So what's the point in getting a marriage as a man, because it's all against you? And Steven Crowder is taking that deep red pill and trying to swallow it down as he's going through all of this right now. Yeah. She's taking half his stuff. She's taking his kids. There's nothing he can do about it. And the whole society is that.
Well, you can't rely on the government to tell you what your family is and isn't.
Yeah,
I think marriage as a legal concept is fucking dead, and I think that people should stop getting legally married and like just know that that's your wife, like that's your husband, that's your wife, that's whoever it is to you, and you don't need the government to step in and become like a force that keeps you together. If the government has to keep you together with the fucking contract, that's not love to me. That's just a fucking contract.
Well, it's like the same thing. Oh, somebody said it perfectly. Imagine trying to keep a contract with like your best friend, and then whenever you decided to stop being friends, you had to take half of what they have. It's like,
yeah. I mean, like, also like, instead of that, maybe like what you could do is you could like if you're not married like that and you don't have to worry about the person taking all your shit if you guys ever split, then breakups become less severe and less like petty, I think. I don't know. I don't know if that's really a fact, but that's kind of an idea that I've had.
No, it's true.
Because it's just two people exiting each other's lives rather than two people stripping each other of their fucking shit. Like,
yeah, it's pretty much legal robbery in my personal opinion, because you're able to take everybody half of their stuff with the whole part of the legal side being a part of it, and there's no point in that. And I think this did a good thing in terms of for what men did, for what happened to Crowder, because millions of people watched him or watches him, and they all saw that Steven Crowder got divorced, and they see the fact that they're taking half of his stuff and losing his kids. This is going to have a massive ripple effect against men, and you women, you need to understand this too. This has an effect on you too. This doesn't have just not an effect on men either. This has an effect on you guys too, because when more and more men are not getting married, I know a lot of my friends that are either just in relationships and not in a marriage thing. There's only two that I know so far that are in a marriage, and I even expect that to die within 4 to 5 years, give or take.
Yeah. A lot of people jump into relationships without being, without really like getting to know the person that they're with. Like a lot of people will get married after like a year or two of being together, and I still think that's like that's really early.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Well,
I think some people figure out, oh, they found the person and they're going to be married to them for the rest of their lives. That happens.
it happened to my
That's a
niece.
very rare scenario. This is there's like it was like a 50% of people get divorced now or more. Like what's the actual stat on that? Like let's look that up.
Yeah, this is happening to my niece. She got married and she's already looking to potentially maybe divorce her husband or what have you, and they already have a kid.
Your niece? Which one?
The one that is not the liberal one.
Oh, not the crazy one. Okay.
Yeah, she's getting a divorce, but just due to the fact that like, oh well, he's not being masculine or whatever, and I knew that her husband was a simp like person. I seen the way he carried himself, the way he does things, and some of the things he's done is. I wouldn't necessarily say it's bad. I heard some things that maybe he's yelled at or said some things that are bad, but I can't confirm that because I wasn't there or present. But I do know that like he doesn't like defend her in some cases or whatever when his parents are going at her or whatever, and he's not having that masculine frame to defend at least his wife. That's just not real good masculine behavior, and it's part of the reason why she is falling out of love or not respecting him as much because he's not showing that masculine
because a lot of men have been pacified by the toxic masculinity shit. Like,
and he's not showing the leadership too. He's doing things that are either not leadership material or very stupid and what have you. And it's a problem. And man, this is a direction to you. You have to have some type of leadership. You have to have a goal. Women are going to follow their man. The actual, at least decent women are going to want the leadership. A man that knows what he's doing and lead the way. That's what they're looking for. Now, they're going to try to do these games and stuff with you and say like, oh, they want the emotional. No, emotional is not going to get you anywhere. They're going to leave you. You need to be a leader. Yeah. You need to be masculine. You need to get up there and actually be a man and lead. And I know so many.
It's funny you say that because there was this one couple I know who they were together for like 12 years. They didn't believe in marriage as a union. Like they didn't believe in it with the government, so they never got married. But they ended up splitting because she kept cheating on him for not being that man.
Yeah.
She kept cheating on him, and then she's all like, "I'm a strong, independent woman, and I do what I want. So I'm gonna go around town and sleep with everyone and suck people's dick for cocaine."
Yeah,
and that's what she did. And then they split off. But when they split off, she didn't get to take all his shit. She didn't get to steal anything from him.
Yep.
And he got to get away from that relationship with a little bit of emotional scarring, but he didn't lose his whole fucking life. He didn't lose his assets. He didn't lose his friends. He only lost the time that he spent with her.
Yeah.
But it's funny too that there's all these very liberal women who like to have that mentality of, oh, I'm this strong independent woman. I don't need no man. I don't need to be told what to do. I don't need to have a toxic masculinity type mate or whatever. And then she doesn't like it when your mate's like that. She doesn't like it when your husband or your boyfriend isn't this masculine man. So then she goes and fucking cheats on him.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's and I'm not saying that women go and do this. No, because you're a shit person that do it. And the same thing with a man. Now, here's the one thing. We'll get off the topic because we're getting a little bit off topic too with the whole gender thing. But what I'm going to say here is that when it comes to an actual cheating thing, there is usually one person at fault. Sometimes there's two. But usually there is one or the other person, whoever cheated, there is a person that is at fault. And normally somebody is not fulfilling the need of the other person. And if a man is cheating on you, there is usually, you have to look at yourself here, ladies, that what are you doing wrong? Are you treating him like garbage? Are you not respecting him, because that's another thing too. And here's the thing: he won't leave you. Most of the time, men won't leave you, but they'll go and do these other acts. And with women, with women in particular, when the man is not doing exactly what I just said, like leadership and stuff like that, she's going to cheat. She's going to cheat on you and do all this stuff. And one last thing too, if the man is beating on you or doing all these horrible things for X amount of time and whatever, don't allow that to actually happen. Don't stick with him if he's actually doing that, all right? Because that's not what we're here for.
Well, so a lot of women who get into those abusive relationships, it's really hard for them to actually get out of it, because a lot of those men that do shit like that are extremely manipulative and extremely abusive.
Yeah.
So they create a dependency for that woman, where it's like she feels like if she ever left him, she wouldn't be able to actually like operate in society. Like she wouldn't feel like she would be able to get out of that, because she's made to feel like she owes it to that man, or she has to stick with that man, because if she wasn't with him, like she can't get away, like because she won't be able to like go support herself or something like that, or she won't be able to. She doesn't have any friends, because he'd be like, oh, all your friends are my friends, and like just like gaslight her and and like essentially just force her to be with him by emotional manipulation.
Yeah,
and that's where a lot of the issues come from, is like emotional manipulation between partners.
Yeah,
and I think that's what people really need to learn with relationships, is how to spot those manipulators, because a lot of women do that too. A lot of women manipulate men like that.
Yeah,
and then vice versa.
Yeah, and and like I said, if he's doing stuff like that, dude, leave him. But if you guys are getting some type of arguments or what,
well, it's very hard to do that, and I think people need to be taught how to spot manipulators. But unfortunately, this public school system will never teach you how to spot a manipulator, because the public school system is a manipulator.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you guys are getting into fights or whatever, or arguments or whatever, don't cheat on him. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Or what have you, or just fights. That's not a reason to go cheat. Same thing with man. If you guys getting arguments or whatever, that's not a reason for you to go cheat. All right, it's not a reason to go cheat at all. But you don't go and do that. Stuff like that happens. But if they're doing something like, if they're cheating on you or treating you like garbage for either party, just leave. It's not worth it at that point.
Yeah. But have a plan, of course. You gotta you can't just leave. It's like if you've been living with someone for X amount of time, it's hard to just pick up your shit and go.
Yeah.
And that's probably maybe something that you need to do, is like you got to develop a plan, like see if you can find some friends who can help you out, and then literally just get your shit. And like you sometimes just need to ghost people like that, just like. Because if you keep like calling them and tell them where the fuck you went, like they're gonna try to find a way to manipulate you and bring you back.
Yeah.
Just fucking like don't say a goddamn word or leave a note. But like if you're calling them up, like, oh, I left, I'm doing all this shit, like now you're just gonna like let yourself get manipulated into coming back. It's really easy to fall for manipulation.
Yeah, and
it's almost impossible to not fall for it if they're that emotionally manipulative to you, that they know what to say to get under your skin and to take your freedom from you.
Yeah, and another good segue is that's what the schools are doing here.
Yeah, exactly.
They're manipulating the children to do this, and because
they don't have a choice. They have to go to school.
Yeah,
they have to show up to public school.
Yeah,
or their parents will get thrown in jail.
Yeah.
So their parents use fucking the public education system as a goddamn daycare. And then these kids get manipulated by the teachers. And if they don't believe what the fucking teachers are saying, they're going to get outcasted. They're going to be told they're fucking worthless. They're going to be like punished. So a lot of these people, like, they get manipulated into believing in the ideologies that the teachers are proposing, because they don't want to be outcasted like I was. Like I was constantly like always getting in trouble and like being like sent to detention. I was getting expelled. I almost got expelled numerous occasions. They just could never fucking like actually execute it legally, but they've tried. And then the teachers would treat me like shit. They would like ban me from coming into their classes and whatnot. And it's because they're trying to manipulate people and make you feel like you're the piece of shit when you're not. Just like in those abusive relationships, like that a lot of times women get into, where like the man is trying to like tell you that you're a worthless piece of shit because you're like, what is it? You're not. I just literally spaced out and lost my train of thought. But like they manipulate you into making you feel like the villain, so that way you come over to their side because you don't want to be a bad person. No one inherently wants to be the bad person. So the schools manipulate you into thinking you're the bad person.
Yeah. And so
And
with
then you have to change your ideology because you're very like influenced by the people you're supposed to look up to, like your teachers and your coaches and whatnot.
this specific picture here, now obviously these are blurred out for obvious reasons, but
Yeah.
with this picture here, can you explain exactly like what's going on here throughout?
So there's a lot of symbolism in this play that we did, and within this photo particularly, it was talking about like how you could tell these are women, like these two women in the middle, and those females were they were like in the symbolism here, they're supposed to be like a lesbian couple, and then like the two men on the end are supposed to be like their boyfriends or whatever, and they're just like fucking confused on why all of a sudden these women are together, and they're supposed to just like be a representation of how ignorant people are and how like and like because he gets like they needed to add more like characters to the scene, so they added the two people on the outside looking in on the couple, the two women who were supposed to now get together, and like in disgust, like oh, how dare they. So, because during this production, like a lot of it was about like gender and the spectrum of sexuality, and we didn't just talk about transgenderism. We didn't just talk about people who were hermaphrodites, which there was talks about hermaphrodites and stuff like that. And this was like part of one thing that we did out of many things, and like this was specifically talking about homosexual relationships. And this is being keep in mind, this is being proposed to 14 through 16-year-olds. So like everyone in this photo is below the age of 18.
Okay.
And you know what? Like a lot of these people did kind of have an idea that they were gay, and that's whatever. Like I think at that age you start to kind of question things.
Yeah.
You don't really know for sure, but you question it. Like you don't know. Like, but the idea that they're solidifying it as this spectrum of like fluidity is just wrong. Like you can't solidify an idea like that. You have to let these people discover themselves throughout their time going through puberty, instead of like making them stick to this ideology that like there is no such thing as this gender. It's just gonna fucking confuse kids, and they're not gonna, because they're confused because they don't know how they feel because they're going through puberty. Like they're extremely hormonal. When people are hormonal, they oftentimes don't think rationally, and they make bad decisions in their life, or they get curious. Like a lot of times they get like this is a thing that has happened for years in society, where people have gotten sexually curious about the opposite gender, or they've gotten curious about maybe what it was like. And like, you remember the Rick and Morty episode where Jerry's like, I always sometimes wonder what it's like to have a vagina. Doesn't mean he's a fucking transgender, like what these people are saying. It just means that he got curious all of a sudden. Like he had that one curious thought. Imagine if like it's kind of like what was happening with these people in this play. Like some of these people did end up becoming the opposite gender, but they thought that, oh, I had this one thought this one time. I need to solidify that thought. This one time I had this thought that this is what I am, because I'm going to get all this peer reinforcement now because everyone's telling me how brave I am because I'm fucking transgender. And then they swap, and then they regret it later on most of the time. Because they were just confused as children, as teenagers, because they were hormonal and they were curious, which is it's okay. It's okay to be curious, but they shouldn't be encouraged to solidify those views like the teachers were doing with these people. They were solidifying those views and like manipulating them. But there is a condition called gender dysphoria where you can be confused about your gender. It's almost like a temporary insanity. It's because like sometimes there might be like some cases. There's like a lot of things that might cause that. We can get into that, but this is what was kind of happening, and this is what's happening in schools right now. But it's being more, it's more excessive, and it's happening at a way younger age with people. It's happening at an age with kids that are so young that they have no concept of sex. They have no concept of boy and girl. They have no concept of that, but they're being manipulated into this like spectrum. This gender spectrum.
So there's
This was at the start of like when all the SJW shit started when I was in school. That photo.
So with this photo here, I'm assuming it's very similar to what you're speaking. To what
It's this. A lot of symbolism. It's. I actually can't even tell you what this photo was because I can't remember this. Honestly, like a lot of the symbolism just made no sense. But some of it did have like some. It had a little bit easier representation of like what we were doing. But I literally I'm literally staring at this. And I can't even tell you what the fuck that means. It was so long ago.
Yeah, well, as we see here, like some of a lot of these pictures we're seeing is from 2016. It's 2023 now, so
Yeah.
we're seeing to where this indoctrination, this stuff is happening at a rather very early time, 2016, and again, to let everybody know, I wasn't even remotely political back in 2016. I was maybe 2-3 years right out of college at this point, and this was not stuff that I was even remotely political in. I was apolitical or what have you, didn't even get into it. And this stuff was going on without our knowledge. I think the only benefit that COVID has done at all, if anything, was expose this type of stuff to parents that's going on. Because
Yeah,
now,
because the parents were at home and more present with their children versus them never being around. Like that, I think that was the biggest difference. Because I think what the case is, a lot of parents work and they're not present in their kids' lives. Like a lot, like like in one other aspect too. Like a lot of parents don't know what their fucking kids are doing on social media. That's why you get shit like that's happening on TikTok with these young girls like twerking for fucking pedophiles. Because parents don't know what the fuck their kids are doing. They don't have any control over their kids. Parents are failing their kids by not being present. And it's not even really like entirely their faults a lot of times, I think. It's really hard to control your kids' internet usage and like control your kids like what they're doing in their lives.
yeah,
Because they're busy in their lives. Like, a lot of parents have to work a lot now. It's fucking very hard these days, especially to not have like, more than one person working in the family.
yeah, and this is just that's like
A lot, because again, it's a lot of like lower income people. Like this is happening too. They're being very influenced by this.
yeah, and it's a travesty in this sense. Now we have a few other pictures other than just the ones that we have here, obviously, that may pertain to something a little bit more, I guess we could say, crazy, because this is the things that we have from not just from in current day society, right? Because we see this stuff popping up in current day society and stuff like that, where it's a bigger deal. So what we have here is, you could probably explain more to this in this fashion, because well, you were here for it. Some of the stuff here, right, where you have the gender expansive youth.
Yeah, this was a pamphlet that they gave us. I think the full pamphlet is somewhere in all these files that I sent you. But yeah, like there was like they've made like educational material for this shit. Like they're handing out textbooks now to kids.
And this was happening in 2016.
Yeah.
For what we gathered.
This was the start. Like this, keep in mind. I think this was like the start of all this shit. I caught like the start of it when I was in school. I couldn't imagine what it's like to be a kid in school right now with like teachers who have like you have men wearing fucking dresses in front of your fucking 5-year-olds. Couldn't imagine.
Yeah, it's worse now more than ever, and we have, obviously, this is another one that is just as bad. I see, for me, I'm slightly a bit shocked that this is happening in 2016, mostly just due to the fact that this is stuff that we didn't really think was going on, because back in those days, at least
no one would believe anybody, and when they said this, like no one knew nobody knew like what was actually happening, because they thought I was the boy who was crying wolf. I was like telling people about it. I was like, this is what's happening at school, and they're like, no way, you fucking liar. And then the play happened, and then people showed up to watch it, and they're like, oh my god.
Yeah, well,
I can't. Like, there was actually a video of this shit happening, but I think it got destroyed because I think that enough people complained where they had to get rid of it because I bought it because I was going to like upload it online, but I never got it. I never got my copy. And I think they also didn't want me to have it because they thought I was going to do something with it, like take it to the media.
Yeah, and this is it. Surprisingly enough, and this is in California, mind you, they were going to do a drag queen event here in California, Roseville, only 30 minutes away from me, and 6,000 people in California canceled the drag event because they said it was exposing to children and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing here is that there are people now coming out, even in California, that are rejecting this nonsense because they're not dealing with it anymore. And when you have people that are like in Minnesota or whatever, that you think that like, oh, we're gonna allow this to happen to your kids, you're dead wrong. You think you're gonna go after people's kids? It's not going to happen because
this happened in Montana. Keep in mind, it's a very rural area. If it's happening like this in Montana, imagine what's happening in the fucking cities right now.
Yeah,
this was a very like on the lower end severity of what's actually happening in like bigger cities or like, you know, areas where there's more children.
Yeah. And
like in my town of 2,000 people, we have 5 transgender kids. Can you believe that? That's how influenced this shit got. And what I mean by transgender kids, I mean like kindergartners who think they're fucking men when they're women, or like kindergartners who think they're women when they're men.
Yeah, and they do, and a lot of kids, especially at that age, don't even know what sex is or genders are or anything. They don't have that concept. They don't have that reality. They're kids.
Like when you're an adult and you can make your own fucking decisions and you can like choose what you want to believe, then like that's a whole different discussion to be had. But under no circumstance should kids be fucking exposed to all this like this shit, like this like gender crap.
Yeah, and that's one thing that where we were talking about with the 18, because there was this one 18-year-old that that died actually due to a vaginoplasty because of the surgery going wrong, and people are like, oh well, this is horrible, this is not always like this or whatever. It's like, oh well, then they would bring up the excuse of like, oh well, he was 18, right? So he would have made that choice. Well, what people end up finding out is that at the age of 10, he was getting these hormones blockers and all this other stuff. So it was already being groomed and all this stuff by at a younger age that made him go into this level. So so at that point, it's just like, no, he was already influenced at a younger age. So that makes us come back into reality and see that, like, okay, if they're doing this at age 18, what's going on? And did this actually happen when they were younger? Because if
there's a lot of sexual abuse that happens to children that doesn't get reported, because a lot of times kids are like too ashamed to say anything.
Yeah,
and then those kids get influenced. And like a lot of these people, like a lot of these fucking gender dysphoria people, who are like obsessed with their whole ideology is based around the concept of sex and gender and all that shit. It's like if that's like what you're an expert on, like your whole shabam or shabil, whatever, is like, I tell kids about their penises and vaginas and like how they can get another one or a different one, and they're like going to kids and that's their whole fucking job. That just screams a job that's very like attractive for someone who's like a pedophile.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of pedophiles become teachers. A lot of pedophiles like become priests. Like they find those jobs because it's the easiest way to get access to children who are going to be confused sexually, meaning you can easily manipulate them into doing things that they don't want to do.
Yeah, and this is the reality that we're seeing here with the kids and stuff like that, and how horrific it is. Because what we're now finding out, and this is only been for the like first 4 months of this year, to where we're actually seeing to where they're going after kids in a great number. We're legitimately seeing it now, and it's become a massive issue, and they're pushing it harder. And that's what Tucker Carlson, when he got fired from Fox News, he specifically said that
Pacific?
they were trying to hide the truth and all this other stuff. And
Of course they were. They're owned by the same fuckers that own CNN.
yeah,
Fox
so-
News has never been your fucking ally.
Yeah, they never were.
They can report just enough so that way you get that little taste of what's happening. But if you really want to know what's happening in the world, you got to really dig in and do your research.
Yeah.
Which is very hard for Joe the plumber who lives down the street, who works 70 hours a fucking week and doesn't want to spend all his goddamn free time doing research.
Yeah.
Which is very hard for people like that. And that's why they're not very exposed to this information, because they're not spending all their time doing research in politics. They're just hoping that the mainstream media is going to tell them the truth.
Yeah.
And then they go on the media and then they like listen to CNN's tell you that, oh, you can't trust other news sources, and they're like, okay, well, I just won't then.
Yeah.
But it's not Joe the plumber's fault. It's CNN's fault for not being held accountable for the fucking shit that they say.
Well, it's they removed Don Lemon not too long ago, around the same time Tucker Carlson got removed, right? And
Yeah.
we know, and immediately as soon as they removed Tucker Carlson, Fox News lost $1 billion immediately. So
I bet, because a lot of people.
because Tucker Carlson was the lifeblood of Fox News. Without
Yeah.
him, they die, and they're going to die. They're going to face the major consequences of removing him.
I know my parents used to be avid Fox News watchers, but
Yeah.
they stopped.
Yeah, so
They stopped watching Fox News, and like after all this shit happened with me at school, they actually started becoming more informed. They started like deep diving into like other platforms to watch the news, because they started realizing Fox News isn't reporting on this shit because they don't have all the information, or they have the information, but they selectively choose what to say because they're still a part of the same institutions that want to manipulate people and divide the people and weaken our society so we become more dependent on the government.
yeah, and it's hilarious in its own way, because when Fox News removed Tucker Carlson, not only did they essentially destroy their own brand, they unleashed him. Because now he has all this millions of dollars.
Oh, yes.
He lives
Yeah.
in Florida, and
They created their own enemy.
Yeah, he even said this won't be the last meeting, more coming soon, which that probably means he's probably going to create his own independent media, and he's going to
Yeah.
gain millions of people, and they killed their own business while creating an enemy as well.
Could you imagine what he can do if he gets like put on Rumble? Like,
Yeah.
I bet he might go on Rumble, and like if Tucker Carlson goes on Rumble, it like legitimizes it even more. And now you're creating a platform of free speech where you're gonna create. They're creating their own competitor.
Yeah.
And I don't mean Tucker Carlson. I mean what they're doing is they're going to legitimize other news outlets that people want to like get the actual like the truth from.
Yeah, this is going to be. It's going to have a very strong ripple effect, because now Tucker Carlson, that he's free, he's going to create his own media company or whatever kind of stuff like that. He can work with people like James O'Keefe. He can go on Tim Pool, even though we don't really like Tim Pool that much. It's still massive because that helps Tim Pool's viewers and all that stuff that Tucker Carlson brings in. He can go meet Nick Rekieta, which it would also be a massive influence because Nick Rekieta has his own stuff too. This is going to have a massive ripple effect, and they don't even realize it. I love how
I think they do, but they're so confident
Yeah.
in the idea
Yeah.
that they can control the dialogue.
Well, yeah,
It's not what they're going to do. Here's what they're going to do. They're going to go on Fox News and be like, we regret to inform you that Tucker Carlson is now a fucking Nazi and is pairing with all these Nazis that we don't want to talk to anymore. Don't go watch them. And then what it's going to do is it's going to take all those viewers and they're going to go over and they're going to click over to Rumble.
Yeah, and
they're going to be like, oh, Fox News, oh, really? Oh.
yeah, and
I wonder.
Yeah, and then it becomes an even bigger issue, because then now we'll have a stronger media platform, more people will be able to see stuff, and Tucker Carlson will be able to do his own thing, and
Yeah.
he'll make more money. Funny enough, and with AOC,
I don't know if it's going to be on that level. I mean, it might eventually become that.
Yeah, well, he has millions of people watching him nightly.
That's
So-
true. I mean, he would have to really be careful with his deals then, like what he would do in terms of sponsorship.
Well, yeah.
Because Rumble's not going to generate that sort of income with ad revenue. You're going to have to get specific sponsorships from companies.
He starts with. Well, you think Rumble wouldn't want to make a great media investment for him?
Oh, they would, but like, it wouldn't be on the level of $1 billion company.
No. Well, I'm talking about like.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like on top of the Rumble sponsorship, on top of any other ad revenue that he would be making by streaming with Rumble, on top of subscriptions and stuff like that he would make, he'd be making a whole millions of dollars just from this people, just a certain percentage.
I mean, if I was a business owner and I knew that Tucker Carlson was going to go independent and I could potentially get my business exclusively projected on his fucking on his banner below where he's talking, I would be fucking excited because now that's all these people that are gonna see my business and I can show them that I'm not some fucking like woke ass company.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna want to support me more.
And then it's like Daily Wire is probably thinking, ooh, Tucker Carlson's out. Let's get him. I don't think Tucker Carlson's gonna bite it though.
Well, Daily Wire I heard is not so like
they're not great. No.
They're not great. Yeah.
No. So that's the thing. It's like Tucker Carlson. It's like he's been on the inside for way too long. He knows how it works, and he'll probably.
Oh my god! I wonder if he has like an NDA that he signed where he can't like say shit. Because if he doesn't,
possibly. But
oh my god! I wonder what kind of shit he's gonna be going on. He's gonna be like, well, they have the aliens. They really do have aliens. We couldn't report on it. Like,
yeah, well, the world is his oyster right now. And if we're lucky and we hope what he does, he'll be able to do way more extensive stuff. He probably knows a lot more about this transgender stuff than any of us do know.
Yeah, he probably also has a lot of access to people like in very high level parts of the government because he's been so involved in that. And now that he can talk about whatever he wants, he can have these people who probably are like whistleblowers in the government come on to his show and talk about things when he could not have done that before.
Yeah.
At Fox News.
Yeah, I think this is a massive win for society. I think
yeah, we're so glad Tucker Carlson got fired. Fuck him.
It's like I disagree with him with the whole relationship thing. I massively disagree with him on that stuff. But that doesn't mean that he is a net negative in terms of what other else that he needs to push. It's even when the Discord, they were roasting Tucker Carlson, and rightfully so, for some of the relationship stuff that he has. But my same team of view is like, yeah, we disagree with him on that. That's perfectly fine. But the actual positive of the plus that we're going to get from him, where he's fully unleashed, is too good to just not allow, just to cancel him just because of the mere fact that
they always will find one thing to try to cancel you for, so that way they can disregard the pages of good things that you have to say.
Yeah.
And it's up to people to not look at it like being canceled, but look at it like I'm being attacked, and these guys are a bunch of fucking assholes that are afraid of what I have to say.
Yeah. So
like don't ever like you can't just cancel someone because they said something once or maybe not once. He probably said or has probably done like a few bad things. If you were to look at the few bad things all of the politicians in the world have done, that list would like it would just like I would drop it down like a scroll and it would roll out my fucking room and down the hall and down the street. All the people they've killed, all the fucking like the people they signed. Like I wonder how much illegal shit we could find if we could like accurately like find out everything that people like in high levels of government have done.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, I specifically told my mom about this too, where Tucker Carlson has said these stupid things that are horrendously ignorant. There was a woman that was obviously going against him. I actually agree with a woman on this, but that doesn't mean that I don't understand his actual net positive for all this. So it's a huge win for society in my opinion. I think this is good, assuming that he does what we're thinking we're going to do. But at the end of the day, this is what the transgenderism and all this other stuff, all this crazy stuff is coming into play. We are against the government. And as I always said, that never trust the government. I think people should be allowed to have tanks. They should be allowed to have automatic rifles, all this other stuff. Because the reality is that we need these to defeat a tyrannical government that wants to use it against us and control us. And that's just the reality of it. I know there's a lot of people that are going to disagree with me on that, but we need to be able to...
Yeah, I agree. I think we should be able to have whatever we want, I think that like there's a certain level of restriction that can be had.
Yeah.
But like it's if someone with a good track record wanted to possess vehicles and potentially create like a militia is within our rights in the fucking amendments, then they should be allowed to do so with even if it's like an excessive amount of military. Because they're worried. The reason they try to like make us feel fucking insane for saying that is because they're worried we actually might rise up one day and take away their fucking power that they have.
Yeah.
So they want us to fucking like slowly have our shit taken away
Yeah, and they can't do that if we have everything at our access. And some people are going to say like, "Oh, well, there's going to be criminals that are going to have all this stuff or whatever." Well,
Criminals already will have it.
Yeah, the criminals will have this stuff regardless.
Most gun violence in the world is done by illegal weapons.
Yeah. Well, there's
not weapons that people have legally obtained, but weapons that people have illegally obtained.
Yeah. So
most gun violence, I would argue it's above 80% of gun violence is done with a weapon that was illegally obtained. Meaning, if they ban weapons, all it will do is put weapons in the hands of the criminals, and then the hands of people who want to like defend their lives and defend their livelihoods. Like those are the people who are not going to ever have like be able to stand a chance.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're taking away the honest man's.
They want the world that was in Psychopaths.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They do. That's exactly what they want.
Yeah.
And we're not going to allow that to happen because let's be honest here, folks. If anybody watched Psychopaths the way it is, it's not pretty. It is not.
Yeah.
You are a vegetable. You have no freedom.
Now you gotta explain it to me because I don't really fully know. I've seen it, but it was a long time ago, and I didn't really like think about all the like potential undertones.
I don't think the first season was the best season in my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I don't think the second season was. It wasn't bad, but the first season was great. And Psychopaths was essentially to where they had this massive network to where it was telling people what to do, what reality was, when in fact what they were perceiving as was false, not true. And it came to these certain investigators to pop that bubble and to show people.
Oh yeah, and they would also like, wouldn't they like take people who were wrong thinkers?
Yeah.
Because they had a wrong mentality. And they would essentially enslave them.
Yeah, or kill them.
And take them out of normal society. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And that's.
And then one of the detectives that was like on the case became a wrong thinker, and then like they had to make her one of like the fucking second class people.
Yeah, and I maybe leave at the very end, she became pretty much like the last guy did. I forgot his name because it's been so long since I watched it, but she became similar to what he did.
I see.
So, yeah, it was...
Drug them in a prison. Oh, my God. Yes, because they're going to pump them full of hormones and tell them they're fucking crazy.
Yep. This is pretty much their deep side plan and what we need to try to avoid. Because they want boys to be pumped full of estrogen, and they want them to eat soy and fucking... and become women, essentially. Yeah. Because they want to tell them they're fucking crazy. It's hilarious. The Psychopath, I love that Psychopaths comparison. It's actually like, really good. It's a very good anime that it shows you on what level that the government would want to achieve and how we could potentially avoid it. And where if this country does collapse, I want every girl and guy to know that it's you versus everyone. You will have your group. It will be pretty much like you would be in a zombie land because you have to protect yourself. You don't have the government to protect you. The police are not going to come and protect you. The elites,
and that man who cut his dick off isn't going to protect you.
Yeah, the elites are going to have their security or their guards or what have you because they have the money to do so and protect themselves. But us, the normal human beings, are going to get attacked. And you'll be seeing people get raped, all this other stuff. It will not be pretty. We will survive it, but it won't be a pretty society. And that's what a lot of people need to understand. And that's what I want to try to avoid. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are accelerators, that they want to accelerate the decline and the collapse. And as much as I have that thought a lot in some of that respect, is like, yeah, it needs to get a lot worse before it gets better.
It's going to have to because people are never going to acknowledge that shit can get bad. They're so caught up in their safety nets that they think that things won't get that bad for them, at least.
Yeah.
Because they're fucking ignorant. They don't understand. They don't see what's happening. They haven't. It's like they can't even like feel the shift that's already happened.
Yeah, and
then that safety net's gonna be ripped from under them, and they're gonna be like, "What happened?"
Yeah, it's like I said before. Your transgenderism, your feminism, your whatever is not going to protect you.
Your democratic policymakers don't care about your fucking your transgenderism and that fact that you're gay. What they want is they want you to be their little fucking puppet that they can use and they don't care about your fucking feelings, even if they say they do.
Yeah, and the government won't protect you. You're going to be crying to the government to come and protect you, but they're not going to. They don't care about you. So you're just going to be lambs to the slaughter, and that's it. You're done. And people in Chicago are starting to realize that, actually, because with the whole
well, the African American community especially has noticed that, because they've been the ones who've been getting the shit end of the stick this entire fucking time.
Yeah, and
because they're expecting their policymakers to help them.
Yeah.
They vote them into office, and then their policymakers give them the fucking middle finger, and only help the elites.
Yep, I think with this new mayor that Chicago has.
The fucking Beetlejuice.
Well, no, the other one. They got rid
of
her.
A new one.
They got a new one called Brian Johnson, and he's worse than she is, actually. And due to this,
Johnson or Johnston?
Johnson, and he's more for this protect the criminal stuff than even.
Oh my god, he looks like a fucking professor, like a libtard professor.
Yeah, you should hear some of this.
He is CEO of Equality Illinois. That's a fucking company name. That's a real company name, by the way.
Yep, and when the team takeover happened in Chicago, it was a complete destruction. We saw an interracial couple literally get beat almost to death. There was a black lady that ended up saving them, and then when the police said, like, oh, well, this is going to happen more often now because Johnson is, because Johnson was elected, and the cops know this, and they're not helping. So now what's going to happen is the crime's going to skyrocket again. Criminals are not going to be held liable, and it will literally, like I said, the purge law will be full in effect. It's starting to happen, and Chicago's are going to wake up real quick because
I doubt this will happen in rural areas for a really long time.
Yeah,
I would give it 10 to 20 years before the rural areas really feel this, but in these like city environments where all these people are trying to exit, but like all the elites are exiting because they fucked up their cities, and now the lower class has to suffer from it.
Yeah,
they're gonna experience it within the next 10 years.
Yeah,
next 5 years maybe.
Yeah.
It's the people who get fucked in every situation is never the people who you see on TV telling you that you should feel a certain way or that you should vote for them because they care about you. It's always the fucking guy who has to go to work on a fucking bus every day just to feed his family, or like the girl, or like whoever. It's like the general populace are the ones who always suffer from these people's decisions.
Yep.
And then they lie to you. They'll lie to your face. Like, politicians are literal professional liars. They're charlatans. Like, they're fucking... Their whole job is to lie to you to get elected. They have to say what they can do to get into power. If they didn't do that, then they wouldn't be doing their jobs properly. So the whole political system is designed around that.
Yep, and like I said, Chicago's going to learn real quick. They're learning. The one lady's starting to even that one black lady, that one.
Beetlejuice?
No, it was she was one of the girls, one of the civilians that obviously vote Democrat. I know she does, and she seen that it was like a light bulb went up her head, like, oh.
They're actors,
This is what's happening, and I'm seeing this happen, and this is a reality that's going to end up happening. The civilians are going to wake up. I think within the next year, maybe less, they'll wake up.
We're the new woke.
Yeah,
we're woke. We are waking up. We're woke.
Yeah,
we're the real woke.
Yeah, Chicago is definitely going to be woken up really quick because it's going to get really bad there very quickly. With the one example of Static Shock, watching that Pacific cartoon, you learned that when they were being progressive or doing stuff in a certain way, it was more of a teaching method of teaching kids, and I would probably let all kids watch Static Shock because it goes through everything that was happening in today or modern society and putting it into a perspective that is teachable,
awakened,
and
the awoken,
and teaching people and kids of what society is, what you could do to stop it and stuff like that, but in a professional and educational manner, rather than forcing people down people's throats. So the Static Shock was very very.
Well, they were probably also not very influenced by the fucking woke producers.
Yeah, no. It was
so they had like some free reign, like from people who probably actually experienced that shit growing up.
Yeah,
because like the people, like these producers, like Kathleen Kennedy and Star Wars, are like they're like disconnected fucking white libtards.
Yep.
Who like have actually never experienced actual discrimination. and they're just trying to do what they think is the most marketable thing. That not because they actually fucking care, or even if they do, they're fucking wrong because they're disconnected. They don't know what people actually feel like. They don't know how people are actually being discriminated against. Because there is discrimination, it's real.
Yeah.
But not the way they think. Not the way they think that they're selling.
Yep.
Not the fucking like. Not what feminists think, because a lot of those people are sheltered people who have never actually been discriminated against.
Yeah. The one thing that with like the one other thing with Status Shock is Sons of the Father. There's a lot of messages within these
80s Doom was the best.
There was a lot of references towards to what modern society was or whatever, but with Sons of the Father, it actually showed racism, and it was very clear on it. But they did it in a way to where it was very good. Where Static, or aka Virgil, if you watch the show, he's black, but it shows that Richie's father, who was racist, but the son wasn't, was where Virgil comes into a different perspective. It's like, oh well, when the father was coming angry or whatever or what have you, he was coming from a perspective like, well, you know, he just had a bad day. Everybody has stuff like that. It happens, right? Or then when they were at dinner or whatever, and he was having a conversation with something about like how hip hop and rap is bad for society and teaches kids to do this or stuff like that.
Well, that's real racism. Like that's that's not what's happening like on a large scale. It's actually like a very small amount of people who are actually like that.
Yeah.
And those people are looked at as fucking fools.
Yeah, and
those people like can't like like that's not what people talk about when there's actual racism.
Yeah,
like people think that the racism is just not being fucking sorry and putting chains around your neck and saying sorry to black people for slavery.
And Virgil even said like, well, you know, my gramps or my dad hates hip hop or rap too. So it's not just like white black thing. It's just an old thing. So 2 times he was giving the guy the essentially the benefit of the doubt, and then until he found the very 3rd time to where he was saying like, where I don't like them here, I don't like his kind here, that's when Virgil started realizing this guy was actual legitimate racist. But it did this in a very good light to where it shows on how you need to give people the benefit of the doubt, and that everybody's racist in this way, and it did a very good job.
Also, side note, look at the way Google like gives Joe Biden all the special privilege of of his campaign ad.
Oh yeah, did you see campaign ad? Unfortunately, user, I have not seen it. And
well, do we want to watch that?
Yeah, we can. We definitely can.
Oh my god! Look what when you I typed in Biden, that's what it gave me. When I typed in Trump, it's literally just people bashing the motherfucker. It's not even like they don't show anything. It's all CNN, like CNN.
Yep.
Like, look at this shit.
I wanted to do videos earlier today, but I was busy out doing stuff, and then I had to prepare the stream, and I wasn't fully prepared with the stream exactly.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to gather.
Well, do we want to watch this ad real quick?
Yeah.
Campaign ad?
We can do that. Because this is let me see.
All right. I wonder if I can hear it through your, or if we'll have to like try to cue it up at the same time.
I think we can do that here. Let me see.
On Oprah? I like how everyone just started using Oprah all of a sudden.
Yeah. I want to try to not give Google as much of my money as possible.
Yeah, well, it still runs on Chromium, so it's still developed through Google, I think. In a way.
It's AIDS. I hate Google.
Yeah, me too. Everyone hates Google. Fuck Google.
I would use DuckDuckGo, but they didn't seem to be great.
They didn't keep their integrity.
Yep. So there's a bad campaign ad here.
Let me see if I can hear it before we fully play. Just go ahead and give it a whirl. All right, I can hear it. Feeling.
Freedom. Personal freedom is fundamental to who we are as Americans.
Nothing more important, nothing more sacred.
What the fuck? He's slurring in his campaign ad? Are you kidding me? They couldn't edit that out?
No, they can't.
What?
Because they're incapable of editing
He's
it out.
so fucked up and so like just beyond gone mentally that they can't even edit out his slurs.
I like how he also says freedom, but he was also the #1 person that literally divided America with his one.
He doesn't know what freedom means, dude. He's like a demented old man. Like he literally doesn't even have like any knowledge of where he is at any given time.
Let's finish the job. Yeah, you mean let's finish America. Let's finish the job should be called let's finish.
They're double tapping America. Yeah, they're just confirming the kill.
Let's execute it. That's
My first term, to fight for our democracy,
This shouldn't be a red or blue issue.
to protect our rights, to make sure that everyone in this country is treated equally, and that
protect our rights, but you are the single one actually removing everybody's rights in every single regard. Like with
protect what he's Jerome, you cut out first off. Yes, but yeah, he's not protecting anyone's fucking rights. No president will protect your rights. Every president is gonna always be looking out for special interest groups.
Yep.
If a president ever says we will protect you, that's not fucking true. It's not even a thing. Like they're not even like really like making the decisions. There's like literally like the deep state that's doing shit. Like they can only do so much a president can.
Yep.
So they're just lying to your face. They're being professional liars, and they're trying to tell you that.
Oh, the
What's
27K dislikes.
Oh my god! I think it's so funny that you can actually still see dislikes.
I have an app.
Yeah, I have that too. All right, let's finish watching the video.
everyone is given a fair shot at making it.
Oh yes, the token black guy.
MAGA
I'm shaking your hand.
Are lining up to take on those bedrock freedoms, cutting Social Security that you paid for your entire life.
Yes, be scared of the opposition. We're trying to bring the red and blue together, but we're going to make you scared
banning books
of the opposition
and telling people who they can love, all while making it more difficult for you to be able to vote.
They're the ones literally banning.
What do you mean? You know he's lying with banning books because the banning of books is not what's happening here. They're banning pornographic books. That's what
you keep cutting the fuck out, man. Like I don't know what's happening with your mic. Maybe it's like not picking you up fully, but
is it not? Hold on. Well, I hope it's not Discord.
It might be Discord.
Discord.
It's probably okay. So I can't hear it, but as long as the stream can.
Yeah.
But you're cutting out like in and out. I think it's just because of the voice detection software that Discord uses. Or maybe the CIA has finally like tapped into our line and they're listening.
No, I wouldn't be against that. I wouldn't be against that. That wouldn't be happening.
Yeah. Oh my god, this is a fucking joke.
When I ran for president 4 years ago, I said we're in a battle for the soul of America, and we still are. The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom or less freedom, more rights or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be, and I think you do too. This is not a time to be complacent. That's why I'm running for re-election. Because I know America.
I like his face in that. It's like I don't even know where I am half the time.
Decent people. I know we're still a country that believes in honesty and respect and treating each other with dignity. That we're a nation where we give hate no safe harbor.
Just all talk.
We believe that everyone is equal. That
it's
everyone
all
should
talk.
be given
It's
a fair
just to scare
shot
you,
to succeed
just to make
in
you
this game.
believe.
Thank you for choosing us.
Oh, hi, token black woman. Let me shake your hand for this fucking camera.
Every generation of Americans has faced a moment when they have to defend democracy. Stand up for our personal freedom. Stand up for the right to vote and our civil rights.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fair point. Like he hasn't accomplished anything. The only thing he's accomplished is higher inflation record.
We, the people, will not decide.
So if you're with me, go to joebiden.com and sign up.
I don't think this is good production value, but you know what? No one's buying it.
Let's finish this job. I know we can. Because this is the United States of America.
Oh, my
There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together.
Dude, no one's buying his shit.
Yeah, no, nobody's buying his shit.
He doesn't buy it.
Yeah. Like,
no, dude, I think even Democrats are sick of his shit, man.
yeah,
Like,
no, it's true in this aspect, because what we're realizing here is that with what we're realizing here is that with the 27K dislikes, which obviously shows that
yeah,
the majority of Americans
that's only like a small representation of what data would be, though, because not everyone's
Yeah.
gonna be watching it on YouTube. But
that's
still,
true.
though, he's always
But-
gonna have more dislikes because people who are actually doing their fucking research are gonna be looking at this shit and being like, "Oh, this is wrong."
Yeah, and nobody. Also, another thing too.
Yeah.
They also do polls to where, like, he has like a 30% approval rating or something like that. Like it's like nobody in America likes him. They're not. If he wins, it's because of the corrupt system that we have in place right now. It's not because people.
Well, democracy, I've always thought, I mean, not always thought, but after this last election, I fully believe that now democracy is dead.
Yeah.
I believe that even if the majority of the country didn't want to vote for him, their votes would still get turned into his fucking votes. Like, there was literal video evidence and mathematicians, like, presenting data where it shows these votes are fake. Like, this is not possible for the Democrats to be winning like this. It is not possible. Here's all the evidence. Here it is. We're going to present it to the court, but they didn't even fucking let him go to court. They didn't even, like, give him a chance to have a dialogue. Because they know it's wrong, and they're all fucking in on it. Like, they're all controlling it, because it's it's the deep state. There is no Republican and Democrat. There's just them who sit in their fucking high white castle, and then there's us down here. The people who have to fucking make society function, who are suffering from their decisions.
Yeah. I'm also running my credit cards up to default to get a better deal on a loan thanks to his derpity. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, because he made it to where I may believe he made it to where, like, you can't have good credit to buy a house. So just don't have good credit. I guess. Yeah. From what my friend was telling me is that I'm pretty sure was looking to getting a house, and property user can probably confirm this because he seems like he's going through a similar thing to where if you want to get a house, you can't actually have good credit. Like
that makes no sense.
I know that.
First off, credit's fucking retarded. Overall, like, credit, it makes no sense as a concept because it's like, so you want to give people more money who can take out loans but who, like, don't actually have the money right now. Like, and then that creates actually inflation because now people can create projects that people can buy that are more expensive than they can actually afford, because they have to take out loans and they have to be in debt all the fucking time. Our economy revolves around debt now because of credit.
Yep, and it's
because of loans.
Yeah, it's a massive issue, and I don't.
Well, the average IQ is actually not even that dumb. It's just people are so uneducated because our education system is so flawed. Because, like, the real education system doesn't want to teach people real skills and, like, good decision making, because if they make good decisions, they can't be controlled.
Yeah.
The whole concept behind our education system is to tell people to be fucking manipulated.
Yeah, which is actually, this is a good segue into exactly what I would like to ask you with, like, what you were going through school and stuff like that, because the school system is making kids not learn anything productive at all. And I was seeing this going through school and high school, stuff like that, where I wasn't getting any benefit from school. I wasn't adapting or learning. I was just being stagnant into where I was. And
because they don't want to teach people. They want to teach everyone at the same rate because they are trying to make everyone's brains work the same. They're not trying to, like, create any sort of individuality with the way people learn. Even though not everyone's fucking brain is the same. Not everyone is going to think the same way. But they want you to, so they force you into it. And if you don't fit in like that, then you're going to fail and you're going to be an outcast in society now because you don't fit in with the government's ideology of, like, where you're supposed to be placed.
Yeah. So, like, for example, what did you exactly experience going through school? Because I know you had some problems with certain teachers and stuff like that.
I had a problem with a lot of people because I always pushed back against the school, and so did my family, because there was a lot of issues that we had because there was a lot of activism happening in our school, and I pushed against it. I stood my ground. I had an I am Spartacus moment. And, like, I even had, like, some kids, like, who I've seen, like, who grew up and, like, they became adults, like, to come back and talk to me, and, like, they're like, yeah, dude, I really respected the way you stood up in class and you would just tell the teachers they're full of shit, or, like, you'd go get detention or whatever because you were just, like, standing your ground on your beliefs and my fucking facts. because like I was like doing my own research because it like what school taught me was that I can't rely on the education system for my education. So I had to go actually teach myself shit in my own time. So I would do like my own independent learning projects to learn things about the world and to learn about anything. Like, because my teachers weren't teaching school, they were teaching fucking activism. They were teaching people there was infinite amount of genders. They were teaching people that women are these like, I'm a fucking woman, I'm strong. Like, men are fucking toxic. Don't trust men. Don't trust white people. White people are awful.
Yeah, and that's kind of like similar to where I was going through high school, where the teachers were honestly failing the students. Where I had one teacher that he was in he did geology, and it wasn't geology, but it was history class.
Geography.
Yeah, geography, and he was failing all this. He had like 50 plus students fail or not know about what the class was doing, and then he yelled at the students for failing at it, and it's like, no, that wasn't the case, because even when I was like, when you have 50 plus students that are obviously not learning or failed or did something wrong, you as a teacher failed. I'm sorry, like there's just nothing. Even with me as well, I was a very shy.
Well, because they expect the kids to cram shit into their brain. That's why they give them homework instead of teaching them properly in class. They expect you to be like shoving the information into your brain so you can pass the fucking the check box. So they can check the box, be like, oh, okay, they got their A, fucking push their ass along. They're not trying to teach them. They're trying to just like cram shit into their brains without actually like talking to them like they're fucking like flexible brains. They're just trying to like check their boxes. Same thing in the military. They do the same shit.
After 8th grade, Braille was useless, and this is why we kept screaming about updating the books back in 2000s. That's not shocking. America is known for being terrible with finding things on a map. Yeah.
My geography class was literally all just people talking about how awful white people were. It's like, well, the whites did this, and the whites did that, the whites did this, and the whites did that, and it's like, so when are we going to learn about geography?
Yeah, that's what the program, exactly. That's what.
So when are we going to learn about the different cultures and fucking like Africa and all that shit?
Yeah,
like not just about white people killed the fucking Native Americans.
Well, yeah, this is why I was when I had problems with schools, is that like I was stunted as a kid, honestly, and there's
a lot of people were. That's why a lot of people aren't educated, becoming adults. That's what they want. They want you to be dumb. They want you to not be informed. That's why they want to keep banning shit online, is because they don't want you to go find it for yourself, because they want you to know what they want you to know.
Yeah, and that was just like...
The internet was the biggest enemy that was ever created for the government.
Yeah.
That's why they were trying to regulate it so heavily.
Yeah, and it was horrible. And, with my life difficulties as well, me... going through the difficulties, I had a harder learning than usual than others, just mostly because of my previous life, it made things a lot more difficult. And they wanted to teach me, as you said, just one way, and that doesn't really work. Not everybody learns like that. And fortunately for me, my parents had money at the time to help me improve, to help me get the education.
Well, you had to go get your education somewhere else because you weren't getting it in fucking school.
Yeah,
of course you weren't.
Because
school's fucking bullshit.
Yeah, they had to. That's the only way. If my parents didn't have the money, I'd probably be an idiot. I wouldn't know how to read because the school wasn't teaching me to read. They wanted to just focus on this one thing, and they thought I was an idiot because, well, I didn't know how to read at second grade because the schools for the longest time didn't teach me how to read. I had to go to a...
there's a lot of people in inner city schools who experience that because their teachers are awful. The schools, the way they're supposed to teach... I'll put this into perspective. I actually had a really good teacher one time who wanted to teach us things a certain way, but they literally were not allowed to, or they would be fired. They had to teach it that one way, and that one way only, otherwise they would be fired from their jobs.
Yeah, and that's what's happening in California too, to where there are teachers that actually are either too afraid to speak or fired because of stuff like that.
That's true. They don't do spelling tests anymore. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of kids, especially the African community, don't know how to read, or even know how to do math. Yeah. So that's just where they don't even teach grammar correctly anymore.
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I'll be the first one to admit I don't know how to do fucking grammar correctly. They didn't teach me to do it correctly, and even if they tried to teach me to do it the correct way, they weren't teaching me in a way that I could learn it. So
they just expected you to regurgitate information. They didn't teach you how to understand things. They didn't teach you the process. They don't teach you to like. They don't teach you to think. They teach you to know things.
Yeah.
Just know what you're told and nothing else. I'm not going to teach you how to like go. They're not going to teach you how to go find information anymore. They're not going to like show you how to do proper book reports with proper deduction process of like analyzing text and context and like reading between the lines. They don't want you to know that anymore because you're going to go and you're going to read the news and then you're going to say, oh, these people are lying to us.
Yeah.
And I can read this because I learned in school how to fucking read bullshit.
Yeah. And
I had to teach myself that because I can smell bullshit from a mile of fucking way, dude. And it's like, I smelt it, but I just didn't understand it. So I went and like, I personally educated myself. I went and like sought out education from other avenues because I could tell that school was fucking lying to me. But not everyone can do that. Not everyone had that ability. Which is okay, because it's like, it was a very rare case that I was able to like just kind of sense it. Because my parents were just telling me to like just go along with it, because they had no idea school was so fucking full of shit. Because my parents were busy people.
Well, yeah, with me with specific teachers, I don't think they, I think a lot of the abuse of students or kids from teachers are they don't report enough of the abuse that's actually going on with kids. Because when I was going through it, I knew that I had some teachers that were bad, specifically bad ones. I even think that one guy, this one old guy that was called, I think Carter, I could be wrong, but he specifically, what he was doing was, I was doing everything the same that everybody else was. You know, maybe I had some errors here and there, but for months, almost pretty much the end of the year, he wasn't until he recognized what I was making that I literally did not change much at all, if any, to the ceramic class, and he finally accepts it. And he wasn't allowing anything prior to that until the very end, and I wasn't able to get a good grade or anything in that class because he wouldn't accept what I had until unlike the white kids. So I felt that where that may have been a source of racism, or he just been a complete douchebag teacher. I don't know. And then I had another teacher that would take my phone and go through my phone for whatever reason and start talking about what I had on my phone.
That's an invasion of privacy.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what she did. And she wondered why I ended up hating her or not liking her, because it's like, okay, well, you're just taking my phone for no reason and then going through it and talking about it to the whole class. It's like,
I had a counselor who, she was a man-hater because she had 7 divorces and she was fucking unhinged. There was something fucking wrong with this woman. And I had a teacher she was, I guess, a teacher, but she was my counselor, and I went and told her some things in confidence, and then she went around town and told everyone the things I told her, which is actually extremely illegal. And my parents did try to sue the school, but they fired her, so then we didn't get to sue the school. But yeah, dude, because it's like she was just a man-hater, and she hated me because of my gender.
Yeah, and I actually experienced that too when I was in a Catholic school, which made me end up hating Catholic school because of all the stuff. So I'll read this guy here. Have you ever looked at the activist news websites?
Oh, wow. So your teacher really didn't give a shit, Mr. User.
Yeah, no, they're just open. Yeah.
They just don't care. I mean, also, they do get paid very shittily, so why the fuck would you care? But, like...
Yeah.
Also, it's like almost like I would think that a lot of those teachers that are teachers right now don't even deserve to be teachers. They don't deserve to be paid more. So I can't even argue that some of them deserve that pay.
Yeah.
But they should be paid more to like do a better job and attract better people into the industry of teaching.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't matter because they wouldn't even be allowed to teach things that are proper.
Yeah, because here's the thing is that when teachers not being paid enough to, especially what teachers have to go through now. I understand from like a teacher's perspective because from what I was seeing from California Insider, where they were talking about the some of the teachers that going through it and how the kids were acting, and the kids were not reacting nicely. They were being terrible. They were showing clips of like teachers actually fighting students because students were fighting the teachers and stuff like that. So like
I fought a teacher.
Yeah, it's like so.
I had a teacher slap me, so I grabbed her fucking hand because it was a woman. I grabbed her hand. I told her, if you ever put your fucking hands on me again, I will destroy you.
Yeah,
because I was at the time I was 16 and she put her hands on me and I'm like, I will. I was a kid then. I was a teenager. I was smaller, but I was still a man.
Yeah, and the teachers that the good teachers that have to go through this stuff, or the kids are actually out of control, they have to do that, and they don't get paid hardly anything, and then under harsh restrictions against the actual school themselves. Yeah. And then you see a whole bunch of there's actually good teachers. I think overall there's a lot of good teachers out there, but they just can't say anything or do anything because of the way the political climate is. Because all the schools are very political, so they have to keep their mouth shut, and that's an issue. They get paid well if you prorate summer. Time out there.
That's true because their yearly pay versus what their monthly pay actually is.
Yeah.
Like let's look at the monthly pay of a teacher. Hold on.
It's
still not a lot, but like, because like they're not working like 4 months of the year or something like that.
Yeah, 3 or 4 months, give or take. And I have a friend that actually a perfect story. I have actually
they get an average of $2,700 a month.
Yeah,
this is from ZipRecruiter. This is ZipRecruiter statistics.
Yeah, I actually have a friend that's a history teacher, and he wanted to do that, but even he was looking forward to doing something else, or not really looking forward to it, but looking to do something else with this stuff because he can't make enough money to sustain himself and where he lives. So he has to go to other jobs or what have you to sustain his income. He's now working. He's not even working at a teacher place right now. He's working at a what do you call it? A museum right now because the museum is actually paying him more than being a teacher.
That's because the systems that are in place in order to compared to a museum versus a school is the school is government controlled. So all its policies, all its pay structures revolve around either the federal government or the state government, depending on, I think, on where you are. I think mostly it's state. And a lot of times state governments don't pay very well.
Yeah.
Federal government, I think, pays a lot more. But like the state governments don't usually pay that well. So you're dealing with government salaries versus a capitalist environment, which is the museum. The museum is a capitalist entity, so they can offer more money for people who are higher quality so they can bring in more people to their business.
Yeah.
School, you're forced to fucking go there. They can just throw whatever garbage they want in there because they don't care because they just have to do it legally. They have to fill a slot.
Yeah, and he's actually working on his own business and stuff like that because that's the only avenue that he sees. I don't know how much he's doing with teaching. I think he's doing teaching in ways from the museum type aspect, but I haven't heard him talk about actually doing anything in terms of teaching because he's been complaining where he can't get money or he can't grab a job, and he's a very good person, very, very nice, really likes teaching kids and stuff like that. But you ostracize or kick out great people like this because you don't give them enough money where they can actually live. That's the issue. They need to at least be able to put food on the table.
I think that we should create more policy for schools in order for educators to start their own schools.
Yeah.
And government should be able to give them funding in order to do so. But instead, you have to force the fucking public to be like, all right, we're going to take this school and we're going to pump it full of taxpayer money and then we're going to hope for the best. Instead of having a private school where you can send people to and you can get government funding to help support it and sustain it. And you can get people who actually understand the education system and need to compete with other schools. Like they do in Japan, they have to compete with other schools so they can provide a better education because it's a very business mindset at that school rather than just the fucking government just having full control over everything.
Yeah, you get way better teaching that way. It's the same thing where even as a kid, I still kind of want to do it now where I want to create my own school to where I feel like I can make it to where we start teaching kids about legitimate math, actual real
teach
life
people at their own
lessons.
rate, you know,
Yeah.
like actually give
Yeah.
kids testing to see like
Yeah.
what classes they
Where
should be
we-
taking,
where it kinda
rather
like-
than just shoveling them along.
Yeah.
Just be like, all right, here's this fucking shit, cram it into your brain so you can pass the test and get the check mark.
Where like you would have like where you would have two. I would like to have this as well for like men because they learn more visually, have more of a hands-on approach for the men and stuff like that. And
teach people differently based on how their brains work,
so, like,
rather than like what they're just supposed to do.
So have the men go into the school and they learn on the hands-on. They learn the same thing that the girls are, right? But in a different way. So it'll be more of a hands-on approach where the women will go learn in their own type of way. And this would and this will be touching on about taxes, real life stuff that
you know who would be the
really
best
matters.
person to talk about this? Like educators, people who
Yeah.
actually have an idea of this stuff instead of fucking politicians and fucking newscasters and shit. Like those are the people who shouldn't be like the ones that spearheading this. Instead, it should be fucking educators. But no one wants to listen to the actual educators who actually have a good opinion on things because it's not part of the agenda. It's not part of the message. They need to actually try to push things along. Like they need to give these proper educators a platform.
Yeah.
That's what they need to really do. But they're not going to do that because it doesn't fit in with their fucking agenda.
Yeah.
Educators should be able to be in control of it instead of it being fucking politicians.
Yeah, agreed. They should also have high schools be more focused on learning useful skills. 100%. One without a doubt. I don't think that
They should have a class where they teach you how to pay taxes.
Yeah, exactly. they should have actual legitimate life skills. That's part of the reason why I want to make a school too, because kids need this. It's actually beneficial. I understand that kids maybe need to learn, maybe the basics and stuff like that. But that's for elementary school and stuff like that is for, where they learn the basics and elementary words and stuff like that. That's what that's for. But when you're in high school, you're almost going to become an adult. You become adult essentially in high school. So what's the point of teaching them higher levels of math, higher levels of English or whatever, when they're going to have to go into life, get a job, and work in society, learn how to pay bills when they don't even know?
Well, you should always be informed on that stuff, but it shouldn't be the center of your education if your intention is to not go to college, because a lot of people don't need to go to college. College isn't a necessity.
Yeah, it isn't.
You don't need college, but if you want to go to college, you need to take those certain classes. In high school should give you the option of taking better classes based on what you're going to do with your life. And of course, I still think high school is a little bit young to be deciding that. And you shouldn't rob yourself of an educational opportunity to get certain information you need for another different path you might want to take. But
yeah, I agree.
You should give people at least access to different kinds of information that they can use for different skills when they're older. Yeah. If they want to take the tradesman path or whatever, maybe.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's also a need for discussion, right? Because this is a lot of things that media doesn't actually talk about. Is that the media doesn't talk about on how we can improve schools or make them better, because because honestly our school system is really, really bad. So we don't talk about on how we can make schools better, or how to incorporate things. These are me throwing out ideas. I'm not an educator. I don't know what I'm 100% about, but I see that we
have a better idea than politicians who send their kids to private schools.
Well, yeah. Well, I see that I grew up and was experiencing stuff and seeing the stuff that kids need to learn. Maybe at certain levels or certain degrees of high school, maybe teach kids something else. Maybe in freshman year, you teach them about taxes or whatever, or you teach them a little bit higher education of math and stuff like that. But as you get higher up in high school, maybe teach them more about taxes and more life skills and stuff like that, where you let them learn this stuff. So
give them Mr. User in chat said what he said, and you give them the opportunity to showcase their skills, and you can capitalize on those skills. If it turns out someone's really good at math, then maybe the teacher should allow them to focus on their math skills rather than just throwing them through other classes and holding them back because they can't pass that other class that they may or may not be good at.
Yeah.
That's the problem that lower education grades have a problem with, is you might be a little bit bad with English, but you're really good at math. Well, you shouldn't be fucking punished because your math skills are way above your English skills. The teachers should try to bring up your English skills, but then also give you the opportunity to grow your math skills even more. They don't do that because they want everyone to be on the same fucking page rather than allowing people to pursue the different aspects of themselves. And that's what actually happened to me. Like, I'm really good at math, but I was never allowed to take higher end math classes because my writing scores were really low.
From Moni says that she says, you know what, school will not help for later in life. And I would agree for that for the most part. Because at least the way school is run now, it definitely doesn't help for later in life. Because they don't teach you anything. They make you pay a whole bunch of money for courses that you probably should have learned previously beforehand anyways. And school didn't benefit me. And that's the reason why I don't like going to school. It's because I didn't find the benefit in it for myself.
Well, I actually did like a weird path. So like whenever I realized like school was just all activism and shit, like I actually dropped out and I went straight to college. So what I did is in 9th grade, whenever all this shit was going down with all the activism stuff, I realized I wasn't going to get any value out of my education. So I took my GED and then I went to community college in order to get a proper fucking education where I could take classes that I had control over. Of course, there's still activism in college, but, you know, I was able to at least have a little bit of control over my own education. So I was able to skip fucking high school and go straight to college. And like, it was like the same, the information was like the same as I was getting in high school just about. So it was all it proved to me was how fucking worthless high school was.
Yeah.
And you get the same education in fucking college. Like, why waste all those years in school when you could just be getting the same college education when you're younger?
Yeah, and I had we know somebody that does this. Widow has done this to where he dropped out of high school and he got his GED and was able to do anything that. And I know that guy is plenty smart. So
yeah, he's very smart. But like the thing is high school is teaching the same shit you're going to just learn in college. You're going to repeat it for another 4 years after you get out, and you're going to be 23 taking the same shit you were taking when you were in fucking high school. Or also, like, you could be 20, or you could be 16, getting your college degree, and then graduating, like in Japan, like graduating with like a partial degree, and then you're a little bit more set up for life.
Yeah.
Rather than wasting all that time learning about fucking activism and fucking like all these useless fucking classes you don't need in order to sustain yourself in your life. But like, you know, again, when you're that old, you don't know what you're going to do. But at least like when you've been given an option to take a certain path, at least when you do graduate and you're old enough, you can always go back to school. You can always choose to go back to school.
Yeah.
But at least when you're an adult now, you're graduating, you have that option of just going to work.
Yeah. From what you just said here is I tested at a college level math in 8th grade and 6th grade level English. And with that user, I was kind of the same way. My English was like, you know, around high school or whatever in terms of was really high. Like my speaking was already college when I was in 3rd grade. If people actually want to believe that, because when I was learning how to read, they taught me how to read correctly, and every single teacher throughout even high school was praising me on how good my reading was, and was at college level. Whereas like my math was more of like the 7th or 8th grade level, where my reading was like 8th, where it was in college level. So I think everybody's brains work differently, and they're not going to work the same, and they're going to have more difficulties in certain areas than others. And you know, that's perfectly fine. That's not a problem. But they should be able to compensate for that. Like, hey, you need to learn this lower grade stuff, but this stuff you're really good at, so let's put you here. And they just don't do that. With me, they learned that I had a good reading skills or what have you, but some of my grammar or whatever, my other stuff, that part in particular with English was lower.
Yeah, and instead of focusing on that stuff too, I bet what they did is they just like moved you along, and they didn't actually give you any fucking assistance with any of that stuff.
Exactly. What they did was they put me in a lower tier class, the same thing with my math class, and they stunted my growth entirely. That's what they did. They didn't do anything. They stunted my growth.
Yep, because they got to move you along and check their boxes, because it's a stupid fucking government system instead of like an actual educational system. You know, if we had a better, more educated society, we wouldn't be having all these fucking problems, I believe. I've always said our root has always been within the education system.
Mona says you must learn what will make a lot of money later in life, like making software apps or video games, just a few examples.
And it's not just about learning what you need to make with money. It's about learning what you're good at so you can do what's best for you.
Yeah.
you got to learn what your skills are, and you have to find a way to capitalize on those. And that's the way you're going to make the most money.
Yes.
Is if you find out what you're good at, and then you capitalize on that. And let's just say you're not good. Like, let's give an example. Let's say you're not really particularly good at anything. What do you like? Like, what's something that you enjoy? Ask yourself that. Well, then try whatever you can to pursue yourself through that particular thing that you think you can at least tolerate, or you're good at, or you like. And then that's how you can become the most successful within your life. And it's not just about money. It's about having like a prosperous life.
Yeah, I agree.
Rather than hating your job and working at a fucking McDonald's for the rest of your life.
Yeah, learning how to think for yourself and be critical. Yeah, I think Moni, I think you agree with like learning, like making software apps, stuff like that. I agree. Like maybe that's what I was saying. Like with high school, I think there should be tiers of learning certain stuff. Like maybe third or fourth year is learning or testing the waters of what you want to learn in life and see what really you enjoy, and going to stuff like that. Because what ends up happening is people go into college or get out of high school and they have no idea what to do. I was like this. I was no different. I didn't know what I was going to do, and I think most people don't know what they're going to do.
And a lot of people who just go to college are just going to college because their parents told them they had to.
Yeah, because I was exactly the same way. I was sticking to the status quo because I went to college because my parents wanted me to, but I was wandering aimlessly for years because I didn't know what I wanted to do, because there was nobody or any tools on teaching me what was good or what I wanted to do. I liked ceramics class, but I didn't want to do ceramics for the rest of my life. I didn't want to do, I like computers, but I only did computers because that's something that I felt like I was really good at the time, but ended up not doing that anyway.
Yeah, but you were also probably never really fully encouraged to like pursue those skills. I wonder, because like you had to take a certain path. You had to take the path that people thought that you needed to take, rather than them pushing you to pursue skills and being supportive of like things that you're passionate in.
Yeah, and that it's unfortunate. I think if we had something similar to that, there would be a lot more people, a lot more happier in their jobs. And I don't think money is everything, obviously. I think money doesn't really solve a lot of problems. I think it causes more than helps. But I think enough money to make it livable, to live, put food on the table, I think that's good. And from what Moni says, my dream was to be a filmmaker, but they don't want me on the film school. That was sad, so I got a job. And that's so much bullshit, man. Because I don't believe people cannot be what they want. I mean, maybe it comes down to like maybe a rocket scientist or stuff like that. Maybe that takes a certain skill set or whatever. But a filmmaker, I would say, Moni, don't fucking listen to them. Do what the fuck you want to do. Start your own business. Create your own film.
Everyone's gonna try to like push you down because they think that you might. They also probably thought maybe like you could have gotten some use out of it, and there could have been some jealousy there, or like that's a very competitive industry that you try to get into, and a lot of people are going to try to put you down in that industry because there's that level of competition you're going to be always dealing with.
Yeah.
And because it's a very artsy style of schooling, and there's a lot of technical aspects with it too, but you're not going to get the same level of support as you would in a like a state college or something like that.
Yeah. Like I said, Moniz, you should people.
And that's what it comes down to. Like, you got to be your own motivator. It's really hard to do that because people are constantly trying to fucking bring you down in the society nowadays.
So, like, if that's something you want to do, you might not be able to do it now because they were rejected or whatever. But create your own.
What Mr. User said was very interesting because, like, that's something that I've experienced as a programmer, is dealing with people who just have their certificates and their piece of paper that says they can do something because they took that path, they took that normal path you should take, but they have no idea what the fuck they're doing. And like, you get your certs, you pass the test, cool. Well, how the fuck are you going to apply that to your actual job? A lot of them can't do that, but they still get jobs over other people because they have that stupid fucking piece of paper.
Yeah, and as I said, Money is like you might not be able to do it now, but later in life, if that's something you really wanted to do and you still have that passion, still have that drive, go and grab it. Invest into it. Put what you want to really go in, and that's something that you can do. I never agreed with with people not being able to not do what they wanted to do. I always think that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Like they can. I think people could do almost anything they put their signs to. Maybe certain things they can't do it. Like maybe for instance, maybe becoming a zebra and that kind of lunacy. You probably can't become that. But anything they put your film point to is like you can become. I have my own business now. I am a startup. When I make big money, I will make my own movies with my own money. Go for it. Yeah, that's the American way right there.
Yeah,
that's the American way, and that's the one thing that this government and the current government and the society wants to do is they want to prevent you from doing that type of stuff, and everybody.
They want to discourage you because you're not a part of their fucking agenda.
Yeah.
But as long as you can motivate yourself and you believe that you can do something, like it's easier said than done. Motivation is a very hard thing to come by. Willpower is slowly drained from you as you age.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy, and it took me forever to figure out what I want to do. And I actually enjoy this stuff, talking to chat, talking to people like this. This is stuff that the amount of support that I get from people. Yeah, I get like. Here's a good example of this. I get like a few of naggers, a few of these terrible people. Even people emailed me certain stuff saying like I'm transphobic or whatever, and I respond back to them statistics and stuff like that, and they end. But those are very few amount of people. The amount of people, the amount of support, the people that I have, that I get, is way more than the small percentage of people that keep nagging and trying to bring me down. It's these people are a very small minority, and what I try to do here is try to help these guys out. What is your dreams? And I'm curious about it. My dream used to be to become a computer IT, believe it or not, but. Oddly enough, it might sound stupid, but I had this dream or whatever that I wanted to start a YouTube channel because I hated the way society was going. I didn't like the way where our country was heading, to where I seen multiple of kids being groomed, being taught the wrong way or what have you. The things that I experienced in school that I just don't want kids to have to go through. And they're not just not being taught anything, they're actually being groomed. I didn't like that. So my dream right now is to really spread awareness of what's going on in society, what's going on in the world and stuff like that, and give more reports to everybody that's been going on, and really help try to influence, give back to society to fix this BS that's been going on. And eventually, I would not mind either creating my own school at some point and be able to create theater like that, or make my own business to where make my own manga, which is something that I'm trying to work on as well. An American manga, believe it or not. It may not be super great, but it's something that I work on, and these are one of the two dreams I think that I want to create and make this actually my job, honestly, because that's something that I saw, and I want to correct it. As some people may say, you can't change the world. Well, I'm not really trying to change the world. I'm just trying to maybe potentially change my country, or at the very least fix some of the crazy stuff that's happening, so that way we don't have to be living in a dystopian hellhole to where people suffer every single day.
Well, it's a start. You're starting there. Like, you got the beginning process done.
I dream of a day when the minds of brilliant men can be kept alive in the bodies of NPCs. The pay for IT jobs is stagnant. There was a time when a network admin would make $90K and a database admin would make $60 to $70K. Then they fired the database admins and made the network admins do both. Yeah, I think my brother is actually does something very similar. He works in IT, and he has to deal with stuff like that too. And he even told me specifically, that he wanted to hire me because I actually did better than what some of these people did with certificates get. And I don't know. I started building my computer back in 2018, 2017, give or take. Oh no, before that, 2016, because I think I got my GPU in 2016, yeah, I learned. My friend Matt taught me how to build my computer. I had mistakes and errors along the way. I built multiple of my other friends' computers, also had errors. One thing to let you guys know, a spark, when a computer sparks, normally not a good thing, so try to avoid that. But I went to start with my friend Josh, my friend at that point, and it's a learning experience. And
white jersey
and stuff like that. But yeah, I apparently did it better than some of these people that had certificates, and I don't call myself that great of a computer person, to be honest with you. Especially over the years where I haven't been keeping up to date with computer stuff and working on it, I can't. Especially if I need my brother's help for certain stuff, I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm at that top dog at all.
Well, if you're asking what my dream is, I am also actually in tech. I do software, and I'm actually hoping to start my own software company and sell my own software. So that is my dream.
Yeah, and
that was very uneventful, but yes, that's what I do.
Yep, and I think my other friend is also discovering what he wants to do in his life, with his accounting. I think I'm finally seeing, some of my friends are finally seeing what they want to do with their lives, and I have never once put somebody down for what they wanted to do. I'm like, even with my one niece, which I don't really talk to anymore, she wanted to do the stuff that she wanted to. I think that's part of the reason why she liked me, is because I never put her down for the things that she wanted to do, ever.
Yes, I am the guy you call when you have a bug.
Because it's not, who am I to judge or hate somebody or put somebody down for what they want to do? I don't think that's why. I mean, now, I will probably say, like, maybe it might be a better idea to get into a job that, that maybe pays a little bit more money, but with some people, it's not really about money. It's about doing what they love, and they want to do that, all the more power to it. I'm a really full-hearted freedom type of person, where, in this sense, a very liberal person in that fact, to where you want to go do something, go do it, and I'm not going to stop you. Just don't infringe on me or other people to prevent them from what they're doing. Go at it and go do what you want. That's it. That has nothing to do with it.
Well, Jerome, we are 2.5 hours in.
Yep.
We talked about the topics.
We did.
Do we want to say goodbye to chat?
Yeah,
Tell them how much we love them?
I think so. I think what we'll probably end up doing as well, because this is actually very nice, I'll probably do more of this stuff. I'll let the
more podcasts? Just sit down and talk about, like, current events and whatnot?
Yeah, and stuff like
that. That's the way to be.
I think for what some of you people, I think what some of the people may not know, I think User knows because he's been here for a while. I think Moni might actually be new. I haven't seen her around very often. But thanks for watching the channel. Do the Covecast that I was trying to do in the first place, and do stuff about what's happening in esports, or just normal casual stuff, and not instigating on politics, and do stuff like that. I would love to do that. And then also another thing as well, just have a podcast on another day, 2 podcasts a week maybe, 2 separate things, one for political, one just chill, and do something like that. That's something that I would like to do, maybe going on forward. Obviously, need to talk to people about it, get certain guests and what have you, mainstays or what have you, 2 partnership, whatever. I don't know what it's exactly going to be. I know the Covecast will be happening probably not this month now because it's so late in. But I did promise a broadcast this month and I delivered. It's just I wasn't exactly what the stuff like that.
Yeah, me and him were talking a couple days ago about kind of how this was going to go, and just kind of the process, and we're going to have to figure out a knack for it. We're going to have to like figure out how to like structure a proper podcast and keep a good flow going. Like, be like more like radio hosts. I don't know if I'm going to be a recurring guest, but that's going to be something that Jerome's going to figure out, and I have full faith that he can do that.
Yeah, I'll definitely thinking something. For a user, I haven't been banned from making comments in the comment section, so yeah, I haven't been commenting for a reason.
It's probably because YouTube found out you were saying some naughty words and they banned you.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll look into that, user, because
he probably got auto flagged.
He probably got auto flagged. I'll have to check.
He said a wrong think word.
Yeah, I haven't. I actually, when I very first started my YouTube channel, I for a while I had it to where people had to be accepted. And I don't know why that is, but I made it to where it accepts all comments. And for some reason, I guess it just banned user. I don't know why. So thanks for letting me know.
YouTube auto bans.
Yeah,
isn't that hilarious?
I will look into that and try to get you unbanned if that's.
You cyberbully? That's hilarious. I cyberbully people too for like saying naughty words.
So
Can I get banned for it?
Crazy.
It's not my first account.
You cyberbully. That's funny because considering the fact that I didn't see the only thing I think user do was maybe reply to the guy that was being kind of rude to me on the comments, and he kind of replied to that, but that wasn't really cyberbullying.
Yeah.
I'll look into it, user. I don't. People could say possibly the N-word on this channel, whatever, in terms of in the comments, not really on the podcast specifically, because YouTube will go ape shit and decide like, oh, that's a bad person, get rid of him.
Yeah.
But if I'm on Rumble, they can say whatever the hell they want.
Well, Jerome, I also think you need to start your podcast a little later in the day, so when people are off work, they can actually tune in.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. Because the way I do it sometimes myself, my YouTube videos come out sporadically, so they'll be within obviously before 3, but some of them have become a little bit late. But my podcast, I think my audience is obviously older, so I should probably start later into the day. I did it earlier to do this a test, kind of see what's going on. I seen Mr. User. I'm not sure if you're eastern side of America or what have you, but you popped in a bit later, and I noticed that you do technically pop in a bit later, so my audience is a bit older. So I'll most likely start in later in the day because I have these 3 users, and I have and you guys obviously be here. I think my video watchers are probably earlier in the day because they can click on and do whatever, but when it comes to a podcast or whatever, they probably can't view the podcast as
well. People also probably you might want to break up the podcast quite a bit into bits, so that way people can also get that easily digestible bit of information. Are you from Italy?
Oh, you're in Italy.
Welcome to American side of the internet.
That's cool. That's what I love about the internet, man. You get all kinds of people from different parts of the country and that of the world, and that's great. Of it. Some of the stuff I do say are a little bit crazy, but it's to educate people, and some of the things that where Moni may be from. Probably doesn't really apply to her because her country is completely different. Although I did see some Brazil and some other crazy stuff in Italy happening over there where there's some protests or whatever. You guys are a feisty bunch over there, so keep up the good work, I guess. But definitely the more to come for sure. That is definitely for sure. This will not stop. The only thing that will stop me is if I'm killed, so that's the only thing that will stop me.
Give me liberty or give me death.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Well,
42 midnight.
I think we should call it.
Yep, I agree. Thanks, guys, for watching. User Moni. Nice to have 2 new users in here that are popping in. There's a 3rd person in here, but I don't think I can tell who that is. That might be our white shirt guy in here.
White shirt guy? That's my nickname, white shirt guy. Like blue shirt guy, but instead of blue shirt's white shirt.
So, for the answer Moni's question before we get off, why are my viewers hidden? I want to do that. Don't do that. To answer Moni's question, I am 30. I just turned 30 in January. So,
I'm 23.
I'm getting up there in age. I'm starting to feel it in the bones. So,
yes.
But
me too. I'm 23. I'm getting man, it's my joints.
So but thanks a lot, guys, for joining up. I'd like to have new users. I'll probably be doing more podcasts, definitely more often. I'll probably talk to Mr. White Shirt over here about certain podcasts that he can and cannot do. Maybe be his mainstay. Don't know yet. Definitely gonna have guests, but definitely more on the way. More videos will be coming tomorrow. Don't know what they are because I never know what happens during the news cycle. It could be Biden getting hit by a truck, or it could be some kid.
We could never be that lucky.
No, unfortunately not. But more to come. More to come. Thanks, guys, for watching. Hope I see you guys tomorrow for all my other videos. And take care, guys. Great.